that best fits their needs. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. This Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Need reliable auto service from people you can trust? Look no further than Western Tire and Auto. For over 15 years, we've been your complete automotive repair center, family owned and operated, with owner Dean Cleathermes bringing 30 years of industry experience. At Western Tire and Auto, you're not just a customer, you're family. We promise 100% satisfaction, treating you with the transparency, respect, and honesty you deserve. Visit us in St. Peters or in Florissant. For appointments, call or check westerntireauto.com. Western Tire and Auto, your local automotive experts since 2008.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every week yet on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey O'Fallon, it's Lauren from Dirty Dan's Pizza and Wings, your woman-owned, locally operated slice of heaven. We're serving up the best pizza and wings in town, made with the freshest ingredients and a whole lot of love. Check out our mouth-watering menu and daily specials. Dine in or carry out, the choice is yours. Join our loyalty program at dirty-dans.com for extra perks and mention News Talk STL for $5 off purchases $25 or more weekdays from 11 to 3. Dirty Dan's Pizza and Wings, where every bite is a local delight.
Get up! Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Gabe Phifer. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Gabe Phifer here, sitting in for Mike Ferguson. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning show. I've also got, besides besides my horrible cough, which is still lingering, we've got Jerome on the Wheels of Steel sitting in for Stel. And now Danny Define joins us. I am so happy that you're here, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing today?
All right.
Well, Gabe, you don't need to answer that. I just heard that in the opening 5 setions. I know how you're doing today. A little under the weather, huh?
Just a little bit. It's been lingering since actually my birthday on Sunday. But yeah, makes for a little downer on the holidays, but not too bad. But here, let's jump right in here, because another one bites the dust as one of the chief censorship organs of the federal government goes poof, which is a lovely thing. It is just a little common sense returning to California with Prop 36, and I wasn't aware that a state can write extortion into law, but New York is giving it a go. Let's dump some news on you this morning.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
So the State Department's Global Engagement Center, which was established in 2016, shut its doors this week due to lack of funding. If you recall, these were the a-holes that weaponized social media companies to silence primarily conservative accounts during the COVID mess. Now, conceivably, Congress authorized the creation of the Global Engagement Centers expressly to counter foreign propaganda and misinformation, but they managed to target American citizens by labeling tweets suggesting, for instance, a lab origin for the virus as, quote, Russian disinformation. So the agency had a staff of 120 people with a budget of around $61 million. My goodness. Now, it was set to be renewed with the first attempt at the continuing resolution during that whole government shutdown fight. But thank God we managed to bully Congress into squashing that pork-laden monstrosity. Now, in our next story here, the so-called tough on crime law, Prop 36, was passed by voters in November and is now being used by law enforcement, this in California, to try and curb the retail theft crisis plaguing businesses across that state.
I've told you, Gabe.
We have the ability to charge felonies for repeat shoplifters. We can accumulate the dollar amount for repeat thefts by an individual. So we don't have to wait for it to hit 950. We can use all of their open cases against them to add up to the cumulative 950.
Yeah, it's insane. I've told you this story before when I was in Portland last summer, or no, 2021. It was right after COVID. And they actually didn't even carry electronics in their Walgreens downtown because of all the shoplifting. That was just commonplace.
There were entire stores that had put their entire inventory behind lock and key. It was kind of amazing.
That's not normal.
No, it is not.
We've
normal.
accepted it as that in a lot of these cities.
Seriously. And that's not as though things aren't getting quite so bad around here too. I saw in a CVS recently, the hair accessories were all under lock and key. It's so weird. And then in a separate one, the deodorants were. So I guess
this is why we can't have nice things.
This is why we can't have nice things. Different criminals like different things, apparently. Let's see. Do we got some time here? The Climate Change Superfund Act out of New York is now law, and the climate cultists are cheering as, according to State Senator Liz Krueger, quote, the companies most responsible for the climate crisis will be held accountable, end quote. According to the new law, the biggest emitters of greenhouse gases between 2000 and 2018 will be subject to fines in support of infrastructure projects meant to repair or avoid future damage from climate change. What do you make of that?
I'll believe it when I see it. When they say they use those funds to go towards infrastructure, and they've said that for 30 years now. I haven't seen any improvements in the infrastructure. Have you?
Oh gosh, no. There's never. Whenever they say, "Oh yeah, we're putting money towards the building," they're not going to build anything.
The second you build the Hyperloop rail between St. Louis and Kansas City on climate change money, then I'll start believing you. Then I'll start listening.
Well, and then there's just the fact of them trying to basically extort money out of companies specifically just for their state. It's like I'm not sure states can do that. So I don't know how that's going to go. I'm sure it's going to end up in court. But before we go to the top of the hour news session here tonight, the Blues are back at the Enterprise Center where they'll face off against Nashville. They'll be looking to improve their 16-16-4 record against the 11-17-7 Predators. Puck drops at 7 p.m.
Attention St. Charles, looking for a local spot that satisfies all your cravings? Mario's Donut Restaurant is your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches and omelets to delicious gyros, Mexican dishes, salads, and wraps, we've got it all. And don't forget our famous donuts. They're so good, they'll make your eyes glaze over. Dine in or carry out, our friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit. Call 636-447-4515 or visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Attention reptile lovers, ready to discover your next scaly friend? Welcome to the Show Me Reptile Shop, your ultimate destination for fascinating reptiles and exotic pets, with 3 convenient locations in Troy, St. Peters, and Springfield. We have an amazing selection of snakes, lizards, turtles, and more. Whether you're a seasoned herpetologist or a curious beginner, we've got the perfect pet waiting for you. Show Me Reptile Shop. Visit us in Troy, St. Peters, or Springfield, and online at showmereptileshow.com.
True story. I was with Jay Ackerman, and a waitress came up and began praising Ackerman Toyota. She was afraid she might need a new car, so she had gone to Ackerman and was told, you don't really need a new car, just new tires. Obviously, tremendously relieved and thanking Jay over and over. Another example where Ackerman Toyota did what's right for her and will for you. AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota for life.
Dr. Randy Tobler here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures. That what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
The one and only Karen Catalina.
That's not always a bad thing not to be a mensch.
Oh.
Sometimes you're a little bit of a rabble-rouser. It depends.
Yeah,
you are a mensch. You're a mensch, but,
I think it could be.
Because he's a mensch.
Because I'm a mensch, okay?
Two Jews, three opinions. It depends.
Right.
So a mensch is a gentleman, to be a gentleman.
That's me then. Come on.
That's him, Karen.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Severe weather watches posted for parts of Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Forecasters are warning of the possibility of high winds, hail, and the potential for more tornadoes. The Houston area was raked by several twisters yesterday, damage but no injuries reported. There were flight delays and cancellations in Houston and Dallas. The political turmoil deepens in South Korea. The BBC's Jean McKenzie in Seoul says that Parliament has voted to impeach the country's acting president.
Prime Minister Han was supposed to lead South Korea through this political crisis, while the Constitutional Court here decides whether to dismiss or reinstate President Yoon. But less than 2 weeks into his acting presidency, a row has erupted after Mr. Han blocked the appointment of 3 judges that Parliament had chosen to oversee Mr. Yoon's case. The opposition party, which controls the parliament, says Han's move is grounds for his impeachment. But his removal would only intensify the political gridlock and uncertainty the country is grappling with.
Aviation experts speculate Russian anti-aircraft fire may have brought down an Azerbaijani passenger jet, killing 38 people.
Azerbaijan observed a national day of mourning on Thursday for the victims of the crash. Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer 190 was en route from the capital of Baku to the Russian city of Grozny in the North Caucasus on Wednesday, when it was diverted for reasons yet unclear and crashed while making an attempt to land in Oktau in Kazakhstan. Cell phone footage circulating online appeared to show the aircraft making a steep descent before smashing into the ground in a fireball. I'm Charles Dillon.
Court hearing set today for the Guatemalan illegal alien accused of killing a woman by setting her on fire. New York City subway train. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures down 133 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Okay, every new year we all spend a few days seriously thinking about what we can do to improve our lives. Usually it revolves around better health, right? I want to strongly encourage you to do what I do. Take responsibility for your health by taking Balance of Nature's whole food ingredient supplements. Seriously, they're packed with 31 varieties of fruits and vegetable ingredients, from tomatoes to sweet potatoes and just about everything in between. This is a resolution you can truly keep all year long, like I do. This is your last time to put it off, because today you can become a preferred customer at Balance of Nature. Use my discount code MikeG to get 35% off, free shipping, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. This is an unbelievable limited New Year's promotion. You got to use the discount code MikeG. Call 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use the discount code MikeG or order online at balanceofnature.com. Balanceofnature.com. Use the discount code MikeG to get 35% off, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Balance of Nature.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Showers continuing through the morning, but they will begin to taper off. We will have some dry hours this afternoon and temperatures rising. A high in the mid-50s can be expected today, but we don't lose that grayness in the air. Temperatures tonight fall to the 40s with some more showers possible this evening, although I do expect these to be widely scattered. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Piccadilly Palace, located in Union, Missouri. The ultimate family fun center is Piccadilly Palace. Call 314-860-6418 or visit piccadillypalace.com.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Colombo and Company, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Gabe Phifer.
There's something serious I have to tell you about the future.
Get up! In case you hear the alarm. Get up, St. Louis.
Will you guys knock it off?
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Good morning, St. Louis. Gabe Phifer sitting in for Mike Ferguson. I got producer Jerome sitting in for Stel, and sitting in for me, I guess, is Danny Define.
Top of the morning
from the Next Gen. Great show on our weekends. Let's go right into the news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Now, this is actually my favorite story of the day. The State Department's Global Engagement Center, established in 2016, shut its doors this week due to lack of funding. If you recall, these were the a-holes that weaponized social media companies to silence primarily conservative accounts during the COVID mess. So they're the ones who would say, if you think hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin are effective against the virus, then you are spreading Russian disinformation, and therefore they have the right to ban you and silence you on social media. The agency had a staff of 120 people with a budget of around $61 million. $61 million. For 120 people. Wow. And that was in that gigantic continuing resolution, that omnibus monstrosity that was trying to make its way through the legislature just a couple weeks ago. And thank God we managed to bully Congress into squashing it. So without the money, they had to shut their doors. Oh, this is where we collectively shed our crocodile tears for the state-funded Ministry of Truth, 1984 style, going the way of the dodo.
Yeah, I hope we don't have short-term memory, Gabe, when it comes to this stuff. Like when Zuckerberg went down to Mar-a-Lago a few weeks ago, and it could have been one of those stunts where Trump was having him down there, like the Mitt Romney back in 2016 when Mittens Romney thought he could have a chance in Trump's cabinet.
Had to go kiss the ring.
It went and kissed the ring, and basically it was just Trump just trolling Romney to have him waste his time coming down there to Mar-a-Lago and basically just make a sap out of himself. I hope that we don't forget, and this is a step in the right direction for sure. I love to see this headline, but with Zuckerberg, he wants to be involved in Trump's transition team in his cabinet for his second term here. And let's not forget, all the censorship with COVID, the censorship leading up to the 2020 election. Let's not have short-term memory. I don't think Trump I don't think Trump does. He seems like he's a guy that holds on to grudges for a while.
Just a little bit.
So
he remembers stuff.
I have faith in him, but
he doesn't have Bidenitis.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Biden doesn't know what he did 2 minutes ago. Trump, he'll remember when people did him dirty. And I just hope that with Zuckerberg in particular, because that was a huge part of the censorship with COVID in the election. Hope he doesn't forget that.
Absolutely. And I also hope that these 120 people who've gotten used to squashing information they don't like online don't find themselves anywhere else with a hand on a lever of power to be able to do that. But you know how these bureaucracies go, and that's one of the reasons why we talk about the swamp, and we talk about how these faceless, nameless peons who run these things just kind of shuffle between the various bureaucracies, and they have way too much power over us, the regular folks.
Yeah, it's going to be really weird in 50 or so years when the history books are being updated to talk about, look back at this time and see what the history books say about what was going on and what we were dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. And my hope is the history books are telling the truth, because we were the ones who won, because when you win, you get to write the history. All right. Now, the drama in St. Louis County never seems to end as a council member's seat hangs in the balance. In his waning days in office, St. Louis County prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell has refiled a quo warranto petition seeking to remove Dennis Hancock from the St. Louis County Council over a nepotism hire earlier this year. The investigation started when Hancock hired his stepdaughter, Holly Galati, on August 19th. The initial quo warranto petition was filed on August 27th. After a brief judicial scrum, Bell withdrew the petition in November, but the investigation apparently continued. Now armed with emails and screenshots, Bell is looking to have Hancock removed from his seat. His removal from his seat be his final act as St. Louis County prosecutor. So I don't know what to make of this story. I do know, I mean, we talked to Dennis Hancock, I won't say frequently on this program, but a few times we've had him on, and we asked him point blank about it. It's like, well, what's up with this? He said, well, yes, I would have liked to, have my stepdaughter work for me as a administrative assistant, but I found out that you can't do that. The law says not to. So he withdrew her, and she never received a salary. So no harm, no foul, right? Wesley Bell is saying otherwise, saying basically just her going through the hiring process and some of the things that were done, prior to her first paycheck would never materialize is still illegal. It still amounts to, crossing the line, and the county charter requires that he be removed from office. So I don't know what to make of the legal aspects of all that stuff, but it's certainly more drama in St. Louis County.
Yeah, with Wesley Bell, the more I look into him, the more I actually kind of respect him, despite his political affiliation. He does seem to be a no nonsense, trying to get the job done type person. It does sound like it was a bit of an innocent mistake. I don't, from what I read about the case, at least, it didn't seem like it was malicious, like this cronyist, nepotism.
Right, yeah, sure.
But that is definitely unfortunate. The law is the law, and I think Wesley wants to clean up St. Louis, so you have to punish everybody.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things. Sometimes your side actually gets it if you're gonna be serious about your adherence to the law and things like that. Now let's see. There's the other story I wanted to talk about is the DNC chair. Now, the DNC chair is up for grabs, and a familiar name is being added to the list. Former presidential candidate Marianne Williamson announced Thursday she's running to lead the Democratic National Committee. Now, she joins a growing field to replace outgoing chair Jamie Harrison. That includes former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley, who ran for president in 2016, Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party chair Ken Martin, Wisconsin Democratic Party chair Ben Wickler, and New York State Senator James Scoofies. So all of them are in the scrum now, trying to get onto the list there for the DNC. Now, the interesting part of this announcement to me is Williamson's comments on what the Democrats need to do going forward.
Yes, we need different messaging, but we need more than different messaging. We need policies and soulfulness behind the messaging. The Democratic Party, at its best, is an unequivocal advocate for the working people of the United States. That needs to be the messaging, and the messaging needs to be everything that goes with that.
Now, I think on some level she's right. I mean, in that was their brand for a good long while. The little guy was basically the working man of America. Now, of course, Marxism being what it is, the definition of who the little guy is, basically the oppressed, it changes, and it changes with whoever is in charge, and the most oppressed wins. So the Democrats were fighting tooth and nail for the 0.01% of people who have trouble understanding their own gender, and they were throwing the rest of America, basically, including the working man, under the bus. So it is interesting that she has, in my view, properly identified one of the problems. I just don't see how they get out of this, guys. I don't see how they turn around their, not just their messaging, but their policy positions without having to take real challenges to the ideology that's been driving those things.
Yeah, there's certainly a disconnect there. And the biggest concern, I think, for Democrats has to be their lack of connection with younger people. You know, Jerome and I, we talk about this on the show, The Next Gen, 8 o'clock here on Sunday nights on News Talk STL. But we talk about the younger generation, and Trump didn't win the popular vote with Gen Z and millennials, but he certainly took a significant percentage away from the 2020 election and elections of the past. So there is a great awakening with millennials, Gen Z, even the younger generation. Then it's like Gen Z plus or whatever. Something that, don't quote me on that, but you get my drift. It's just one of those categories that Democrats have always had in their back pocket. It's just been a slam dunk. Young people, minority votes, and the Republicans, Trump specifically, has taken a massive percentage out of those different Democrats that were just always a shoo-in for Democrats. So we'll see. I mean, they need to do some soul searching. Are they going to just humble themselves and actually look in the mirror and try to figure out what they can do to better change their policies, their messaging, things like that, or are they going to keep doubling down on their stupidity? You see a lot of people, Gabe, that are coming out that were Democrat commentators that are starting to wake up and say, okay, this is an us problem, not a them problem. But you still have a lot of people on the left that will not admit defeat, and they think that the American voter is just stupid and out of touch, when it's really it's them that is out of touch and needs to take a look in the mirror.
Well, I mean, considering how vociferously everybody was arguing that they were on the right side of history on all of these various issues, and now America says no, you're not. Well, how do you come back from that? How do you say, okay, actually, I guess I wasn't on the right side of history, so I'm not going to do this? And of course, what we're seeing from not the national level, but at the state level, especially when it comes to this immigration stuff, a lot of the statewide office holders who are, those offices that are still held by Democrats, they're doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down on illegal immigration being their primary their primary issue. They're setting up their sanctuary states and sanctuary cities and sanctuary policies and sanctuary organizations to try and help people deal with ICE. They're making declarations that nobody's going to cooperate with ICE and all these other things. Well, that's not what the American people asked for.
That's so 2020, Gabe.
It's so 2020.
They need to catch up to speed.
All right. Now, when we come back from the information segment, now, on Fridays, we usually try to keep it a little bit light, but I'm feeling in a weird mood, so we're going to ask some deep questions. Can we reclaim the culture? That's the question on the table for 620. So stick around. We got an information segment coming right up. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning. Gabe Phifer sitting in. News Talk STL 1019 and 94.1.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Paid for by Estella's Pharma.
Ready to soar beyond your limits? The U.S. Air Force and Space Force offer more than just a job. It's a launch pad for your future. With over 200 career paths, competitive pay, benefits, free education, 30 days paid vacation, and a chance to travel the globe, all while serving your country with pride. Your journey starts here. Call Jeremy Jefferson in St. Louis at 314-295-6834 or visit airforce.com and spaceforce.com today.
Larry Connors here, and I'm heading to southern Italy for a tour of the most beautiful coastline in the world, the Amalfi Coast. I want you to join me. We'll travel for 11 magical days with professionals from Conservative Tours. They're the best tour operators in Italy. Conservative Tours, an A+ rating with the BBB. $54.88 is your cost. That includes airfare from St. Louis, luxury hotels, dining events you'll remember for years. Call 888-733-9494 or go to conservativestours.com. Join me next spring in Italy on the Isle of Capri, just $54.88, including airfare from St. Louis. 888-733-9494 or go to conservativetours.com.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
When you cast your eyes upon the skylines of this once proud nation, can you sense the fear and the hatred growing in the hearts of its population?
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the Morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
You know, if you have a cell phone, you also have a radio.
Oh, really?
Because that's what that does. I don't know if you know this, but 5G signals are radio signals. So that means you can have News Talk STL in your pocket everywhere you go 24/7. All you need is the News Talk STL app. So all you have to do, add that onto your device, your mobile device, add it onto your Alexa or your other smart device. And you can have the dulcet tones of all of the hosts from the weekday mornings like Mike Ferguson and me to our weekend programming like Danny Define. You can have them in your pocket 24/7. It's pretty awesome. And from what I understand, in the new year, there's going to be some new features to that app. So be sure to pick that up.
It's crystal clear too.
Oh, absolutely.
This is my goal for everybody listening, all the News Talk STL listeners, which I'm sure many of them already have the app, but this is my challenge to you is download that app before 2025.
Absolutely.
Let's go into the new year
Come
with
on.
some new state-of-the-art technology, crystal clear on your phone. Take it wherever you want. You could be in, I was going to say China and listen. I don't know about that.
Yeah, they might have a geolock.
Yeah, I had like 3 countries I could have picked. I could have said any country in the world, and I had to go with China. Like, don't say China, Russia, or North Korea. Yeah, you can go anywhere. You can go to Australia, France, and listen to the News Talk STL app right there on your phone, and it is crystal clear. That's how I like to listen, Gabe.
Pretty awesome.
And I usually hate downloading apps, but this is one of those where it's very low in terms of storage space.
Oh,
And it
absolutely.
doesn't bother you for like, can I have access to your phone? Can I have access to your calendar? Can I have access to your content? No, it's just you download it and it works. It's that easy.
We do not collect your information like TikTok, and therefore we will never be banned by the U.S. government. Okay,
and even if we did, they have your information anyway.
They do. do. They do. It doesn't matter.
if they, and by they I mean, big brother, overlord, government here, if they wanted to get you, they'll get you. Come on, let's be honest here.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm Gabe, sitting in for Mike. The voices you were hearing there were producer Jerome and Danny Define sitting in as a co-host on this show. Now, like I said before, we in the last segment, on Fridays we usually try to keep it light, keep it airy. But like I said, I'm in a weird mood, and I want to ask the big questions, especially because I got you young folks in here. See, I'm the only one with gray on my face right now. We got lots of facial hair in the room, but I'm the only one with gray. So I actually need to understand some things from you young folks. Tell me what's going on.
I was gonna say, Gabe, I already got engaged this year. You're asking you said I'm gonna ask some big questions here. Are you taking my hand in marriage? I'm flattered.
No,
but...
not that
okay,
big question.
Okay.
Not that one. But I'm asking this because all the listeners who are who are regulars to this show know that I'm particularly concerned about the lack of conservative presence in the culture at large and the major cultural institutions. And I talk about kind of the big three that have the most influence on, or four that have the most influence on us. That being entertainment, education / academia, and the news media. And those are huge. Those are huge cultural institutions. They define how people, in many ways, look at the world, how they process moral positions and information, and that translates into how they participate in politics. And because conservatives have basically forfeited our role in those institutions, we've lost a lot of effectiveness in reaching young people in particular, and inculcating, at least planting the seeds in the young people, so that as they grow and as they interact with the world, they kind of realize, oh yeah, some of those things that my mom and dad were talking about were actually true. So my question is, even as we're having sort of a political red shift, we talk about that, can we actually reclaim the culture, and what's it going to take to do so?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think it goes back a little bit into what you were talking about last segment about, championing these strange, weird, ideas and making that an entire identity to run on for a political party. We have become so, I don't want to say ingrained as a culture in terms of media, but the idea of, the weaker you are, the more noble you are, the more confused you are, the more that we want to, put you in a position to speak to people. And going back to that famous interview with the KGB defector back in the 80s, it's going to take, he said that it takes about 15 years, the moment that a PSYOP stops, for it to be undone. And that's one of the things I think about is the red wave we see. It could be that people are shifting towards our beliefs, but it could also just be people did not like Harris that much. And so it's like, I would rather take the lesser of two evils. And that's something we talk about in the next gen quite often. That's why, we literally are trying to figure this out. Yeah, I think it takes people that actually want to make a change, going out and volunteering and demonstrating your values, live by your values. Don't just talk about it on X or Facebook or, because the internet's filled with people that are just there to be seen, not to actually, engage. I think there is a possibility, but it's going to take some work. And I don't think it's going to be within the course of just 4 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I can tell you this, there is a shift going on. It's certainly better than it was a few years ago. I think a lot of these far left wackadoo professors have been exposed over the last couple of years at these colleges, these high schools. I think COVID was really the beginning of it, certainly with the lower education. I mean, high school, middle school, even elementary school, because as we all know, during COVID, it was a lot of virtual learning. That was the silver lining behind COVID, was taking, these parents had a look behind the curtain, so to speak, and they were seeing what kind of nonsense was being pushed on their children. So I think they've already been exposed. As far as the media goes, Elon buying X, I say it all the time on the next gen, that was a massive win. Taking off the shackles of censorship and the mainstream media, the amount of people, especially my age, Gabe, and younger, the people that trust mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, even Fox News, it's like ridiculously low ratings. We're getting our media from social media. We're getting our news from social media, different outlets like that. And with Elon buying X, it's great because it kind of holds mainstream media their feet to the fire where they can't cover up stories anymore, because there's a lot of times where I'll talk to my dad. He's a big Fox News guy, as most dads are. It's the right kind of thinking dads. But I'll tell him a story, let's say at 9 o'clock in the morning, and he'll just like find out about it that night on Hannity at 8 o'clock at night, and I'm like, Dad, he's like, oh, did you hear about what happened over in the Middle East today? I'm like, Dad, I've known about that for 2 days. Yeah, it was on X. But my point is that Elon buying X and taking off that censorship, it forces the hand of mainstream media where they cannot hide these massive stories anymore because too many people already know about it, and people are talking about it. So it forces the hand of CNN, MSNBC, Fox News to report on stories they would have normally just covered up. So that is encouraging to see this new access of light speed information that we have. And then what was the other category? You said education, media, and then like entertainment.
Yeah.
Well, I did see the new Gladiator film yesterday.
Okay,
I gotta say
right.
it was pretty based. It was pretty.
Okay.
It was pretty masculine. It wasn't a lot of DE&I feminism type stuff in there. It was just
Okay. There were no girl bosses in the arena there.
At the beginning there was, and,
Okay.
and I went to my cousin, and I went with my cousin, and he like looks over at me in the opening scene. He's like, "What's up with this?" He's like, "Oh, this isn't like an all-female Ghostbusters or anything, is it? What are we getting ourselves into?"
Oh, no.
But yeah, the new Gladiator was actually awesome. So you're seeing movies that are coming out now that are more like that high testosterone masculine movies that we used to have back in the 80s with Rambo and Rocky and all that. So I think entertainment, there is a shift right now. It's almost kind of cool or hip to be on the right side of things.
Well, it has become punk rock on some level, just because, like we were saying, the left is the establishment now. So to be anti-establishment, you have to be on the right, essentially.
You do.
Otherwise, you're just a mouthpiece. Now, it's hilarious to watch the members of Rage Against the Machine battle for the machine. You remember all that?
We talk about that all the time on the show.
It's kind of wild. It was like F no, I won't do what you tell me, except take the effing vaccine. That's basically what was going on with Rage Against. It was hilarious to watch, especially because Rage kind of came up around the same time as me back in the 90s. It was just like, oh, what are you guys doing?
Rage Against the Machine, Howard Stern, all of these guys that were anti-establishment, that were giving the middle finger to the machine. They completely they've completely softened up, and they're just part of the swamp, really.
Yeah, well, you guys have definitely helped me have a little more hope for the future. Certainly, as you're kind of explaining what's going on with the young folks and how we're kind of I don't know. The world is healed. The world is healing.
Yeah, a lot of work to do, but we're heading in the right direction, Gabe. I do believe
stuff.
that.
That's good stuff. Especially because if you've seen these latest polls about the media, trust in the media, the Blues still believe the media. The Reds and the Independents have all shifted away from trusting the media, but the Blues are still kicking and screaming. They're gonna go. They're not gonna go quietly into that night. So that we still need to fight. We still need to recapture all of these things. So good on you for explaining that to our.
We're doing our
dear
part,
listeners.
Gabe. We're doing our part.
Now, as we move into our next segment here, the next thing I want to talk about is RFK. Now, he went on a podcast recently and made some horrifying claims against Fauci. I want to talk about those for sure when we come back on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Can you still walk back to happiness when you've known?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Showers continuing through the morning, but they will begin to taper off. We will have some dry hours this afternoon and temperatures rising. A high in the mid-50s can be expected today, but we don't lose that grayness in the air. Temperatures tonight fall to the 40s with some more showers possible this evening, although I do expect these to be widely scattered. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Tim Jones here for my favorite St. Louis Sports Bar and Grill experience, the go-to spot of Johnny's Hideout. Johnny's Hideout featuring over 40 big screen TVs to watch all the great games this college and NFL season. Awesome food specials every single day that I absolutely love. Bike weeknights, classic cars on Wednesdays, live music every weekend, and a fantastic time to visit the gorgeous Sunset Patio. Located just 10 minutes from 270 in Gravois, open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. onwards. All the information you need to know at jhideout.com. That's jhideout.com. Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge.
Whether you're a saltwater fish fanatic, reptile enthusiast, or looking for small animal supplies, Lynn's Pets has it all. From feeder insects to exotic birds, we got you covered. The Kevin of RC are passionate experts who don't just sell pets, they educate and care. One same-day delivery and personalized service, we live for it. Big chain stores, forget about it. At Lynn's Pets, we save you money and provide top-notch service. Lynn's Pets in the heart of Lynn'sville. Call 636-327-7700 or find us on Facebook.
Looking for a top quality tactical gear and expert advice? Look no further than Discount Tactical, your one-stop shop for all things firearms and self-defense. Located in the heart of Warrenton, we've been serving the community for 3 years with our friendly, professional, and knowledgeable staff. From custom AR builds and silencers to the largest selection of parts, we've got you covered. Self-defense weapons, SBRs, knives, ammo, custom holsters, weapon lights, optics, and body armor. Discount Tactical. Online at discounttacticalarmory.com or stop by today and gear up with confidence.
Tim Jones here for AMF Electric. AMF Electric's industrial team, noted for its go anywhere, meet any need, and delivered on-time service. In fact, over the last almost 60 years, AMF Electric has never failed to meet a customer's needed completion deadlines. At AMF Electric, they're unabashedly pro-American. They love to work with like-minded individuals and business owners who believe in freedom of economic choice. Call them 314-647-4066. Online, amfelectric.com. That's amfelectric.com.
Colombo and Company.
On Friday, we'll recap a busy week and get you the latest news heading into the weekend with Gabe Phifer, Ken Williams, and the weekend forecast from Steve Templeton at 2:45.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
Thank God for the daylight. I spent a long time in the dark, felt good saying goodbye. Waking up to a brand new heart. And if you're sleeping like I used to be, in a grave that holds you tight, there's a savior called
Mike Ferguson in the morning. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 941, 991 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
I'm Gabe Phifer. That's Danny Define. That's Jerome, producer Jerome. We're sitting in on the Mike Ferguson in the morning show. We're just shooting a crap, just talking about all of the various issues of the day, and one that I wanted to bring up that really struck me as I was kind of perusing my X feed. You know, we were just talking about how Twitter, Elon's purchase of Twitter has kind of changed the game in terms of information dissemination. I caught this from RFK Jr. and he was on a podcast called The High Wire. I'm not aware of this, but he was describing some horrific things going on that were overseen by Fauci in terms of basically illegal human experiments, basically, is what we're talking about here. RFK reveals on this podcast, or he makes allegations on this podcast that that orphaned children essentially were used as experiments and basically went through some torturous, illegal medical experiments. And are buried in mass graves just in America. And
wow, whoa, yeah, that's a heavy claim. Wow,
Merry Christmas.
Heavy. Yeah, by
Christmas.
the way. Now
John Wayne Gacy over here, John Wayne Fauci.
Seriously. Oh. Now he also references though an old BBC documentary about that type of thing. I'd never heard of this, but apparently some of this stuff has been substantiated at least by the BBC. So let me try and break this down because there's a lot to it. It's basically a 2-minute clip, and I don't want, that's a long clip to share. I'm not going to share any of in the audio specifically, but I'm going to pull some quotes here. Here's one quote from RFK. He said he made sure that the people who are running those foster homes were not medically trained. Most of them were immigrants who came from the Dominican Republic. They knew nothing about medicine or responsibilities, and they were sick. Fauci made sure that none of the kids had guardians, which is illegal, and then he hid what he was doing to them from the boards. He took foster homes in 6 states, and he turned them over to the pharmaceutical industry. So these are some serious claims that he's making. And let's see, he also went on to talk about in Hawthorne, New York, the Gates of Heaven Cemetery, where Celia Farber, and I can't find exactly who Celia Farber is in this clip, but she found the cemetery where Fauci was disposing of the corpses of these children who died in his illegal experiments. She found an open pit. It was actually covered by an astroturf carpet. She opened the astroturf carpet and she saw hundreds and hundreds of tiny little coffins stacked haphazardly on each other, where the children had no parents and nobody was there to protect them. So it's just,
yep. She's a journalist, by the way, for Rolling Stone, Esquire, Salon. I mean, she's worked New York Press.
Okay, thank you for that. So this isn't just,
pretty legit resume as a journalist.
Yeah, we're not talking, pie in the sky conspiracy theory people who are saying, yeah, I saw the aliens, from Area 51. We're talking about investigative journalists. You're talking about the BBC. We're talking about people who've actually witnessed some of these things. Now, RFK is making the allegation that Fauci was involved in these things, and that I think that's kind of the big bombshell here, because Fauci has been a public servant his entire career. He's been on the government payroll this entire time and in control of many federal dollars to go to various things. One of the major contentions during the Capitol Hill back and forth, when Fauci was being brought before Congress, and his discussions with Rand Paul was Rand Paul was accusing him of funding the gain of function research that produced the coronavirus, and Fauci said, no, never happened. Not, you're lying. That's not how that works. And that was proven to be true. Yes, the CDC, I believe it was the CDC under Fauci, was in fact funding the gain of function research that produced the coronavirus.
And they tried covering up the lab leak.
They tried covering all that stuff up already. So when it comes to this, the idea that Fauci used children as guinea pigs for these various pharmaceuticals and things like that, I mean, it sounds like an extra level of grotesque, but I'm not sure I can put it past Fauci to do.
Absolutely not. And it's interesting, Gabe. This was a couple of years ago during the whole pronoun madness. Elon Musk tweeted out, my pronouns are prosecute/Fauci. He tweeted that out a couple of years ago. Well, I was just looking through Twitter right now, and Elon tweeted this out yesterday. It was a reply to a journalist who just basically posted what you just mentioned here on the show, talking about all of the nefarious things that Fauci's accused of, the lab leak, covering up all of this evidence that it was funded by Fauci. And, there's links to Bill Gates as well. But Elon just yesterday commented on this post on Twitter, and he said, my pronouns are still prosecute/Fauci. And this is Elon Musk, who is working hand in hand right now with Donald Trump and the transition team. I would say next to Donald Trump, Elon Musk probably wields the most power right now in America. And he is out there publicly still saying that he wants to prosecute Fauci. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that unfolds. And I'll be honest with you, Fauci, if he's not sent to trial, and if a lot of this stuff, if it's even a tenth of it is true, this guy should be in prison for the rest of his life. If we don't see that, I'll be massively disappointed. Now, we can't let people like this off the hook.
Now, to mitigate some of the allegations here, actually Grok, which is the X's,
it's like the Chat GPT of X.
Yeah, Chat GPT is the AI that runs on X, and everyone who has a blue check mark, I think, gets access to Grok. Someone did a little Grok fact check on this, just to be sure, and here's what Grok's had to say. A report from the Vera Institute of Justice clarified that while 25 foster children died during clinical trials of, I guess, some sort of drug, it was not found that the trials caused their deaths because the children had multiple age-related complications even before they were enrolled in the trials. So claims that Dr. Fauci funded experiments leading to the deaths of orphans with AIDS are missing crucial context and misrepresent the findings of the investigations in their trials. That's according to the AP. Both of those are according to the AP. And then the BBC documentary that's being referenced here, it's called Guinea Pig Kids. guinea pig kids. It was pulled after a complaint and subsequent investigation found no direct causation between the clinical trials and the deaths of the children involved. So there's a bit of obfuscation there, or some people could consider it as exculpatory information, context to it. If you are a terminal disease patient and you are in a clinical trial, it's still more likely that you're going to die than the drug is going to help you. So, there is that context to this, but I would not be surprised. I'll say it that way. I would not be surprised if there were aspects of that clinical trial which were underhanded, nefarious, and otherwise exclusively beneficial to the pharmaceutical agencies and companies, as opposed to beneficial for the kids involved.
Yeah, well, there's a great book called The Real Anthony Fauci by RFK. He wrote this back in 2021. It was like right towards the tail end of COVID there. And if you want to learn more about Anthony Fauci and his background, I highly recommend reading it. It's a tough read. It's not an easy read. There's a lot of medical jargon in there, and you might have to go back once or twice and reread it. But there are a lot of just bombshell accusations in there by RFK on Anthony Fauci. And the thing is, Gabe, Fauci, him and his legal team have never once denied these claims. They've never gone after RFK for libel or slander or dragging his reputation through the mud. They've been extremely hush hush, which tells me it's almost an admission of guilt at that point. Somebody's going to write a 500-page hit piece called The Real Anthony Fauci and talk about these, whether it was the AIDS crisis back in the 80s, whether it was these experiments on animals or humans, and right up to COVID-19 and the virus and the lab leak and all of this stuff. If you were making bombshell accusations like that and they weren't true, don't you think Fauci and his legal team would be all over this? But they haven't said a word about that book, which to me speaks volumes.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as though that book has had zero traction, that it hasn't gone anywhere. I mean, there's been a lot to that. So I mean, you make a good point, man. But as we go into our final segment of this hour, we're gonna hit you with another news dump, but we've got more to talk about. If you want to talk about more of this stuff, jump onto the Rumble chat. That's kind of usually where a lot of the conversation happens, but you can also hit us on Facebook, where we're also streaming. You can hit us up on Twitter or anywhere else where you can find our streams in YouTube, so long as they'll have us. Just keep up the conversation. We definitely want to get your perspective on this thing as we roll into our next segment here. This is Gabe Phifer sitting in for Mike Ferguson's Mike Ferguson Morning Show, News Talk STL 101.9 and 94.1.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Oh, welcome to the kingdom.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Hey folks, Tim Jones here with Eric from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers. Eric, Newstetter's not one of those giant, big, sterile, big box stores, is it?
Nope. Newstetter's Fine Jewelry is a family-owned local tradition since the 60s. We're a full-service jeweler that does on-site repair as well as custom creations. We don't sell jewelry. We sit and listen to find out exactly what you truly desire in fine jewelry and give you an education so you'll fall in love with your piece for a lifetime.
Newstetter's Fine Jewelers at wowdiamonds.com. That's Newstetter's Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
Tim Jones here from my great friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. How do I know? Simply put, they've helped me on many occasions. Here's another solution to your everyday aches and pains: the Studio Health and Wellness Center. Services include Pilates and yoga, both with certified instructors. I can also highly recommend the massage therapy, which is not an indulgence. It's a proven method of healing and restoration. Trust my friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Want to play a game with me and Dad? Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the Morning. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Well, one thing's for sure. I know Mike Ferguson is not listening to the show, so he will not have the room to be appalled at the Spice Girls playing on a show with his name on it.
But Mike just woke up out of a dead sleep.
So he's like, I feel a disturbance in the force.
Wow, not even 7 o'clock yet, and Gabe's already getting the Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I got to, man. But
he hit the under today.
Yeah,
I had over 7 a.m. I thought you were gonna wait a little bit.
No, I got to bring that in straight away. You know how I do. But yeah, Mike's usually the rock and roll guy, so that's hilarious. But Gabe Phifer here sitting in for Mike. The Mike Ferguson Morning Show. We got Jerome here. We got Danny here. Let's dump some news on you.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They get all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Just a little common sense returning to California with Prop 36, the so-called tough on crime law. Prop 36 was passed by voters in November and is now being used by law enforcement to try and curb the retail theft crisis plaguing businesses across the state.
We have the ability to charge felonies for repeat shoplifters. We can accumulate the dollar amount for repeat thefts by an individual. So we don't have to wait for it to hit 950. We can use all of their open cases against them to add up to the cumulative 950.
So if you that reference to 950, if you recall, that was basically the dollar amount of basically leeway that the retail thieves would have before felony charges could be brought against them. So what was happening was people would just walk into a store, steal just shy of $1,000 worth of stuff, and walk out because nobody was going to bother bringing in the cops to stop them and get wrapped up in an altercation, all that stuff for a misdemeanor. And that turned into mass groups of people just breaking into various stores and starting to steal lots of things that actually exceeded the 950. But again, since it's all happening so very fast and that people are already conditioned to not bother calling the cops, everybody would just kind of get away with it.
Wait, you're telling me that when people are just letting crime happen, criminals are going to do crime?
It's kind of a weird concept. I know. I mean, you kind of have to wrap your brain around and play a little bit of 3D chess and use the matrix to understand the concept. But yes, when you let crime happen, more crime happens. It's kind of crazy, Danny, isn't it?
Yeah, I worked in retail back in high school and early college, and so this was about 10 plus years ago. And I even remember back then during the training sessions, they would say, well, if you notice a shoplifter, you can't do anything about it. You can't follow them out to the parking lot, or you can't prevent them from leaving the store. You have to file a complaint, and then it goes through corporate, and then they have to review it. And then by that time, the person who just shoplifted, it's been like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So criminals know there's no repercussions. There's no a couple things really bug me, Gabe. It's people that shoplift and steal and take things that aren't theirs, and it's people that litter, that just blatantly throw trash all over the ground.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Those things are really my bugaboos. They really kind of tick me off. But criminals are empowered to just walk in and take what they want, and there's never any pushback. There's never repercussions. So. But the law-abiding people, the people that try to do the right things, we're the ones that are always punished, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It makes it hard to do the right thing in today's day and age.
Now, after years of basically all the rampant crime sprees in California retail spaces, they finally had this Prop 36. It was like, okay, we're going to get tough on crime. And even then, it's kind of a tepid deal there because so in order for that to get to that 950, as you heard in the clip, now they get to add your previous convictions, essentially. So it's like, hey, or previous stoppages and things like that. So now it's not just 950 per pop. Now it's 950 total. I like
that.
So I mean, it's
like a running tab.
Basically, you get a running tab. So I mean, it's a tepid way to get there. But it's basically the California way of getting to, don't steal.
That's so soft. That is so soft.
Even though it's the quote unquote tough on crime bill in California, it's still soft, which says something about California. But at the very least, this common sense is starting to come back a little by little in California.
I guess we'll take what we can get, but the older I get and the more fed up I get with seeing this crap, I'm leaning towards the Saudi Arabia model. Just go ahead, maybe cut off a little pinky there, and then you go back and you show all your buddies how you just you were shoplifting and you got caught, and then all of a sudden shoplifting goes way down.
Yeah, it's like all the people without pinkies
are right, or the people that commit these horrendous crimes.
Yeah.
Well, if we had some really tough punishment, I think you'd see what is that old quote, Gabe? It's like extreme situations require extreme solutions or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where we're at.
Well, maybe we are. But the drama continues in St. Louis County, where hopefully nobody's going to lose any limbs. But in his waning days in office, St. Louis County prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell has refiled his quo warranto petition seeking to remove Dennis Hancock from the St. Louis County Council over a nepotism hire earlier this year. So Dennis Hancock tried to hire his stepdaughter, Holly Galati, on August 19th for a secretarial position, but that's a no-no. According to the St. Louis Charter, St. Louis County Charter, you if you do that, you forfeit your seat. So Wesley Bell's kind of taking a hard line on the letter of the law there, and it looks like Dennis Hancock may actually be in trouble in this one.
Wow. And that's a rare story because you never hear of nepotism in politics.
That's a good point. I mean, I'm glad we have that law in St. Louis County, but there you go. And then last year we got the Climate Change Superfund Act is now law in New York, and the climate cultists are cheering as, according to State Senator Liz Krueger, who sponsored the bill, the companies most responsible for the climate crisis will be held accountable. Now, what all that means, all that is to say, they want to charge exorbitant fees on the people who produce our energy and pile that money into some sort of slush fund exclusively in the state of New York, while all of us, the rest of us, pay higher gas prices in order to accommodate those fees. I don't think this thing is going to really manifest into anything, but I'm curious to see, what happens, because there are other states that are going to attempt to follow suit, including New Jersey and California. But I didn't realize that extortion could be written into state law, but apparently New York thinks so. Now sports tonight. Pardon me. The Blues are back. All right, after the Christmas break here, the Blues are going to be back at the Enterprise Center, where they will face off against Nashville. They'll be looking to improve their 16-16-4 record against 11-17-7 Predators. The puck drops at 7 p.m. I'm glad hockey is back. My wife will be happy. But When we get back from the top of the hour, we're gonna have an information segment coming up here. But when we get back from the top of the hour, I've seen a lot of reporting on the emotional problems of the younger generation. So we've got a couple of representatives of the younger generation right here in this room with me. So I'm going to ask them what's going on, and I might inform you a little bit on some of the data that is now driving this conversation. We're going to talk about that right here on News Talk STL. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning show, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
With the average funeral bill over $9,000, are your loved ones prepared? Speak with Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Contact Benjamin at memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial, everlasting protection.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio 3 times every week yet on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Epic STL is always on the lookout for highly motivated, goal-oriented, results-driven people to add to our growing, winning team of sales and content professionals. 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL is a locally owned and operated venture of Epic STL. Apply to be a part of our creative, fun, and rewarding work environment by simply going to the Connect tab on newstalkstl.com and click on Application. Epic STL and News Talk STL are equal opportunity employers.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Property damage, but no injuries reported in southeast Texas. Raked by a series of tornadoes yesterday, Wharton County, roughly 40 miles southwest of Houston, was especially hard hit. And forecasters warn there is a possibility of more rough weather today across parts of Texas, as well as Arkansas and Louisiana. There's a storm of a different type, a political storm, raging in South Korea.
South Korea's opposition-controlled National Assembly has voted to impeach the country's acting leader, Han Duck-soo. The Assembly approved the impeachment motion in a 192-0 vote on Friday, while governing party lawmakers boycotted the vote. Han, the number 2 official in South Korea, has been the caretaker leader after President Yoon Suk-yeol was impeached by the Assembly over his short-lived imposition of martial law earlier this month. Han's impeachment further deepens South Korea's political crisis and damages its international image. I'm Charles Villatesma.
Communist China continues to build its military might. Today, it christened a new amphibious assault ship capable of launching fighter jets designed to strengthen the Chinese Navy's combat ability in distant seas. The Japanese cabinet approving a record $55 billion defense budget for next year. Japan is beefing up its defense capability with long-range cruise missiles, starting to deploy Tomahawks as it faces a growing threat from China as well as from North Korea and Russia. Angered by the announcement of new U.S. military sales and more aid for Taiwan, Beijing is imposing sanctions on 7 American-based companies. China also objects to the recently approved annual U.S. defense spending bill. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures are down 141 points. NASDAQ futures off 66 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, everyone. If you or someone you know were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma within the past 20 years, listen up, because you could be entitled to significant cash compensation. For years, the weed killer Roundup was used in homes, farms, and gardens, and now studies have proven a direct link between Roundup and this deadly cancer. So if you or someone you know have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, call us and find out if you qualify for a cash settlement. 800-842-6060. That's 800-842-6060. Time to file a claim is running out, so don't delay. The call is free, the consultation is free, and you can find out if you qualify for a monetary award. Call 800-842-6060. That's 800-842-6060. 800-842-6060. Call now.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center, may not be available in all states.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Showers continuing through the morning, but they will begin to taper off. We will have some dry hours this afternoon and temperatures rising. A high in the mid-50s can be expected today, but we don't lose that grayness in the air. Temperatures tonight fall to the 40s with some more showers possible this evening, although I do expect these to be widely scattered. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. With the average funeral bill being over $9,000, are your loved ones prepared? Call 314-866-8886 or memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Tim Jones here. I want to tell you about an awesome business located in my hometown of Eureka, Missouri that we use all the time for our exterior homestead needs. Eureka Contracting and Roofing. Veteran owned. They will come to you and schedule a one-on-one consultation. They know that replacing your roof or anything on the exterior of your home is always a really big deal, which is why they've always got a no pressure, no obligation inspection and evaluation. Fully licensed and insured. Nothing but the highest quality of materials made right here in the USA. 636-938-ROOF. 636-938-ROOF. EurekaContracting.com. That's EurekaContracting.com.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Phifer.
I triple saw stereo!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
Your morning Kofifi dance. This is Gabe Phifer sitting in for Mike Ferguson in the morning. I've got, I keep wanting to say Stel first, but Jerome is in for Stel. And then, of course, we also got Danny Define. And I wanted to promote the weekend program, The Next Gen with Danny Define, Sunday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. News Talk STL, I think, has a unique programming style on the weekends. We're still live. We're still local in many instances here. And we're not just piping in shows from Timbuktu just to keep you entertained. We got people who actually live and work in the same areas as you do, and who think very much like you do, talking to you, willing to talk and discuss what's going on in your world. So, Danny, good to have you here.
I'm excited to be here, Gabe. Yeah, it's been a little hiatus this month, had some stuff come up, but I'm so happy to be back in the saddle. And, you talk about jumping right in, doing this morning show at 5 a.m. a couple days after Christmas. Well, that'll wake you up. Mm-hmm. That'll get you back in the routine real quick. But, enjoyed the holiday season, and Christmas is over though, and now we got to get back to business. And we have 23 days, 24 days until inauguration, right?
Oh yeah, man, it's coming up.
So usually this is kind of the slower time of the year, but with the changing of the guard, so to speak, with Trump coming in here and just this massive improvement that we're going to be getting hopefully in 23, 24 days, there's still so much to talk about, and there's still a lot of work to be done even once Trump gets sworn in.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on there, and hopefully, the changes that Trump will bring to the country will help improve a lot of people's lot in life, because a lot of people are depressed. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot, especially young people, there's a crisis, and people have discussed this, that the sort of a mental health crisis. There's a growing discontent among young people. But a new study, actually it's an old study, but it's new to us, is telling us exactly where a lot of this stuff is kind of coming from.
10 years ago, you wrote, conservative women seem to be particularly blissful. About 40% say they're very happy. That makes them slightly happier than conservative men and significantly happier than liberal women.
Yeah.
The unhappiest of all are liberal men. Only about a fifth consider themselves very happy.
That was true 10 years ago. Liberal women have overtaken liberal men as the unhappiest group. You find that particularly young women, very interesting new data show that white liberal women under 30 have almost a 6 in 10 chance of having been diagnosed with a mental illness in America today. It's a really big problem. And there's lots of speculation about what that has to do with politics, what has to do with race, what has to do with age, et cetera, et cetera. But what you find is that this is a group that's really, really struggling. And it's a pity, because it's not good for them. It's not good for society. And that's what we see. So I don't think that being a political conservative is a panacea for being a happy person, but we see disproportionately these happiness and unhappiness effects in different parts of the population for sure.
So that was Harvard professor Arthur Brooks explaining how the data shows that the unhappiest people are the most mentally ill people, and mostly on the political left, on a podcast called The Genius Life with Max Lugavere. I think that's how you pronounce that. But in any case, he's telling us something that I think okay. Now, all joking aside, a lot of us kind of intuitively feel that there's a lot of unhappiness on the left. I mean, whenever you get into a discussion, which turns into an argument, inevitably with a leftist, they just seem to be chronically unhappy. Like they hate everything.
And it's so
especially you.
Yeah, it's so ironic, Gabe, too, because they're all named like Joy and Whoopi and Hope. So it's ironic to me that
you can't make
these
me laugh
people,
like this.
Sunny, there's another one, Sunny.
Yes, oh my
They have
gosh.
these nice, happy, upbeat, blissful names, but they're just some of the more miserable people that you could ever come across. And it's true. And I know, liberal women, 6 out of 10, according to this study and several studies that have come out, have been diagnosed as have a mental illness. And it's terribly sad, because that's not a depression and anxiety, and that, it's a very serious thing in a lot of cases. But what is the reasoning behind it? I think with the whole like feminist movement, the radical feminist movement, this boss babe culture where society is telling them that you're more valuable sitting in a cubicle than you are at home raising kids and raising a family, which, listen, my fiance is training right now to be a doctor. So like, she is career driven. I'm not saying you can't have aspirations. And if that's, if you're driven and you can be whatever you want.
A lot of us at this radio station are involved with some high powered chicks.
We are. Yeah, we are. Absolutely.
Like, seriously.
Absolutely. But that was her choice. Right. And I think a lot of young women, they're looking around and they're like, what the hell happened? We had it made. And then feminism came in, and it makes sense though. Why would you push feminism? Because to dismantle the nuclear family, to get both parents out of the home. So now the government is watching your children. It also starts a whole other bracket of taxpayers. Now that you have
you doubled your tax base.
You doubled the tax base. So it's very clear why the establishment, why the system would push feminism, because it accomplishes several things. Again, destroys the nuclear family, which I think is the biggest deal, because that's where a lot of this starts, is in the home. Having a good parent, specifically a mother, you can't really duplicate that bond between a mom and her children. And then, of course, with the financial incentives for the government, with opening up that doubling their tax amount of taxpayers. But I think it's really done a lot of harm. And again, if you want to go work, if you want to have a career, that's great. I support that decision, but I think it's been proven now that it's been a failed experiment. And I think we need to put a little bit more emphasis on it's our natural, our DNA, our genetic makeup that raising children and raising the next generation, not to plug the show,
Next gen,
but that is so important. That right there is a job all in itself, and a difficult job, but it's so crucial to have a strong. And I'm not saying dads can't do it, but let's be honest, there's a different dynamic there between a mother and her children.
Well, the thing is, you need both.
You need both, right? That they work in perfect harmony, and the government, the state has looked to dismantle that, and they're not doing it because they care about women. That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
They didn't start the whole feminist movement because they wanted women's empowerment. They did it for those reasons I just mentioned. And a lot of the women fell for it hook, line, and sinker, and here we are.
And it sounds like we actually have a caller by the name of Dave that wants to chime in just on this topic as well. So
sure.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Dave.
Hey, good morning. Gabe, I always tell you, I'm not a smart guy, but you always make me feel dumber.
Love you, Dave.
Hey, you're always the smart guy in the room. Hey, unless I heard you wrong, you were talking about the influence of Twitter and all this other crap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this young kid you got sitting next to you in the studio, I've heard of him on other shows. But see, to me, this all gets back to parenting. Just listen to Danny Define talk. You could tell he was raised by some good parents that put his head on straight and probably put their foot in his behind. You got Owen Schroyer. You got oh my God, brain cramp. Josh Lucas, who's going to be on later, Nate Lucas, who's going to be on later on today. Those are three young guys. When I say three young guys, no disrespect to you guys, I'm an old fart. So these are three young guys that have their head on straight. They have their head on straight, not because of Twitter, not because of this, not because of that, but because you can tell that they were raised properly because mom and dad loved them. And mom and dad also probably had no problem putting their foot in their behind when they had to.
Absolutely. I think, and I think
I
that
appreciate that, Dave. Thank you. And you're spot on with that analysis. Yeah.
Danny, I have been a fan of yours for some time, my friend. You know what show I heard you on, and I admire you guys because you and Nate and Owen, while you're probably 20, 30 years younger than me, you guys are heads and above shoulders smarter than me. You're not smarter than Gabe, but you guys are heads and shoulders smarter than me.
Gabe sets the bar pretty high. I don't know how to dismantle a rocket ship over here, but I like to think common sense, Dave, is what I try to subscribe to. And a lot of this just seems like common sense to me, but for many people, it's it's still confusing, and it's still kind of a hard for people to grasp, just having a moral compass and common sense. But I appreciate the kind words there, my friend, and that really means a lot to me. And I know it'll mean a lot to my parents too, they're not up yet. They're on Christmas break right now, but I'll clip this and send it to them.
Thanks, Dave.
If I could sneak one more thing in there real quick.
Sure thing.
My grandfather, God rest his soul, he hated, and these are his words, I quote him. He said that hag, old lady Eleanor Roosevelt, he said, you can blame her for the people mother and father have to go to work. My wife, God bless her, for putting up with me for 33 years. That explains prescription drugs and alcohol, but that's another story. The best job my wife said she's ever had was raising our kids.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about how kids always want mom. My son's going to be 25. When he gets sick, guess who he wants? He don't want dad. He wants mom. So anyway, thank you for letting me go along, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
As always, Dave.
Love the show.
Thanks, sir. As always, Dave's kind of spot on. He identified it, and frankly, it is apparent when you run into somebody who had two good parents.
Yep.
It's pretty normal. And look, the stereotype is true. The girl with daddy issues.
Oh yeah.
Also easily identified at the club.
Oh, easily.
I'm just saying. I'm just gonna lay it out there. So I think you hit you kind of hit the nail on the head there, Danny, when you were saying that essentially family formation is essentially what's missing with a lot of these people, and our society used to be geared towards family formation. Okay,
that's where that mental illness comes from, the depression and the anxiety and all of that. And yes, we're speaking in broad terms here. There's some women that will go and they just want to have a career, and maybe at the end of the day they are happy. But a lot of times what I've seen, and just from personal experience, people that I know, you're sold this lie where that's going to moving up the corporate ladder is going to give you happiness. And you're sitting there in your cubicle drinking stale coffee. And you're just like, really, this is what we fought for. This is not fulfilling to me. Raising a beautiful family and that next generation of great Americans, that is where the fulfillment comes in. So yeah, it's, I hope we get back to that. I really do.
Absolutely. Society seems to have been geared against helping to foster the things that make us all happy, which is forming families, having these deep relational bonds between blood relations and all that. All of those things are kind of diminishing, which is why I think happiness is diminishing too. But when we get back, we're actually going to talk about, I think, another sort of is a downstream effect of the lack of family formation and therefore the lack of children proliferating in our country is this quote unquote need people are saying we have for immigration. And Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy kind of stirred up a hornet's nest last night on Twitter, discussing kind of the other side of the immigration coin, not the illegal immigration, which we are all against, but the legal immigration aspect and the quote unquote need by corporate America for legal immigration. I think this is a discussion we have to have on the right, and I definitely want to have it with you. So come right back after this information segment on News Talk SEL 994.1.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Danny Define here with the Next Gen, all new time, Sundays at 8 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The day to start deporting illegal immigrants is fast approaching. Some universities telling foreign students, you better get back.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Tony Colombo here for the cleaning pros at Zero Res, the team we trust with keeping our home clean and healthy. And the folks at Zero Res know how important it is to you to have a clean, healthy home this holiday season. And that's why they have this great offer for you right now. Book a cleaning with Zero Res and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Again, just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here. Join me every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL for a little fun with finance. We'll talk about taxes, the economy, finance, and most importantly, how to enjoy the lifestyle you deserve.
Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Tune in on Sunday and visit SerenityNowTax.com for your free copy of my book, The New Holistic Retirement. That's SerenityNowTax.com.
Serenity Now! Are you a St. Louis small business owner looking to boost your brand? Blue Ocean Media Group offers affordable video production that packs a punch. From social media content to branded promotional clips, we'll help you stand out in the digital crowd. Professional quality, small business prices. Let's tell your story together. Learn more at blueomg.com. That's blueomg.com. Blue Ocean Media. Big impact videos for small business budgets. If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
People try to put us to down. Talking about my generation. Just because we get around. Talking about my generation. Things they do look awful. Talking about my generation. Hope I die before I get old.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Phifer here. Got Danny Define. Got producer Jerome. And we're talking about the big issues of the world. We're solving the world's problems here in this, right here in this room. You got the next gen basically sitting across the table from me, and then the old head over here with the gray hairs on his face. And we're trying to figure out how we can get America back. You know, how are we actually going to make MAGA happen? How do we make America great again? And we've been discussing everything from reclaiming the culture to holding our criminally crazy public servants, as they were, like Fauci, accountable for their dastardly deeds. And we're talking about some of the generational issues that we're dealing with right now. And one of those is the fact that the West has ridiculously declining birth rates. I mean, if you look at the numbers, I mean, it used to be like I think the birth rate was like a 5.0, and now it's like a 3 point something or other. We're not really replacing the Americans who die with new Americans. We're replacing them with immigrants. And most of our population growth over the last couple decades has been from immigration. And there's a problem there, especially when we're talking about illegal immigration. And I think for the most part, that debate is settled. Okay. I think those of us on the right and a lot of the common sense folks in the middle, and even some of the decent D's, as I like to call them, the Democrats who actually can pull their heads out of their ideological rear ends long enough to sniff reality. They realize that illegal immigration is a universal bad thing. But now Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy have brought up this issue. Now, they representing basically the corporate tech bros of America. They're suggesting, though, that we need to take a look at our legal immigration system. Now, they brought a spotlight on the H-1B, I think, immigration program, but there are others at play here. But there's been quite the reaction online, especially from those of us on the right who are like, wait a minute, slow your roll there, buddy. Are we actually talking about an America First policy, or are we talking about corporate America First?
Well, Gabe, if you listen to the Next Gen, we were talking about this back in, I think, July. That was when I kind of broke away from a lot of people on the Trump train. And listen, I've been on the Trump train since 2015. Went to my first rally at the age of 20. I think it was 22, 23 years old when he came here to St. Louis in February of 2016. So I've been in this guy's corner since day one, basically. But he can't be immune to criticism. And one of the biggest concerns I had with Trump well before the election, and I said, Trump is going to be much better than Kamala Harris' presidency.
Obviously.
That should be without saying. But he did mention several times, this particular one that I always played the soundbite to was him on a Zoom call with a bunch of these predominantly like Indian entrepreneurs and immigrants that have came from outside of the United States, a lot of tech bros, like you just said. And he said point blank, and he doubled down on this in the weeks and months afterwards, that anybody coming to this country, even if they graduate from a community college, he said, if it doesn't matter if it's a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree, if you graduate here in the U.S., then we're just going to staple a green card onto your diploma. And I said, wait a second here. There are so many Americans, Native Americans like you and I, and like Jerome here, that need to fill these positions, whether it's in the tech sector, agriculture, doctors, engineers, these high profile jobs. We have so many people in this country that are capable of doing that. Why don't we invest in the people here already within our own borders? Let's invest in our educational systems. Let's invest more in our trade schools. Let's start with what we already have, because we all know the problem with the illegal immigration here. There's estimates that there could be up to 35-40 million illegals in this country. And about half of them came in under the Joe Biden administration.
Basically, yes.
So that's just with illegal immigrants that we know of. But my point is, I think there needs to be a moratorium on all immigration across the board, unless it's just a very rare exception, like an Elon Musk, for an example. Then okay, well let's hear you out. But legal immigration, to me, it almost seems like kind of a roundabout way of just letting more people in that aren't Native Americans, and we should be investing within our own borders. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those cases for me where it's kind of a two things can be true at the same time situation. So on the one hand, I obviously there are problems with our culture that is not producing the results that we want. America's the American education system is from K through 12 all the way up to
It's gotten
academia.
lazy. We don't put a preference on education and hard work.
We're
Yeah, I get
pushing
that.
some trash, degrees on people.
Right.
Like, not everybody needs to go to college. So there's too many people in college, frankly.
Totally agree.
And all of these kind of systemic issues that we have with our education system are a problem. We were talking yesterday about trash degrees and how I was like, you know what, if everybody, if there wasn't federal money involved and everybody had to go to a bank and convince them to give them a loan to go to college, and the bank actually had the consideration that this person may not pay me back, all of the trash degrees go away immediately. They don't exist, because nobody's going to give you $20,000 a year to go get a degree in gender and sexuality studies. No bank is going to like, oh yeah, that person will be gainfully employed in 4 years and then be able to pay this back. No, that's not happening. So of course the degree would go away because nobody would enroll. So I think there's that aspect of it. There's also this kind of hidden aspect of it where there was a recent poll of HR directors, of hiring managers at various companies, and over 50% of them are saying that there is a deliberate and very specific push against hiring white males.
Yeah, I believe that too.
You can't cut off that major portion of your population and still expect to get high level people across the board. You can't say, okay, I'm going to hire all the best engineers except for the ones who look like this.
Yeah, I think the other issue that we often ignore with this too is if we are taking the best people, the most educated, the most well-off people from these other countries and bringing them here, there's what possibility do those countries have now to improve to a state where they do not want to come here for their life, that they are happy where they're already at.
Well, and that's kind of the
other.
other.
If you're such an asset to the economy, then why don't you build up your own economy? Seriously, though.
Well, there's the other thing that I think it can be true at the same time. There are a couple of reasons to be for taking the best and brightest from around the country, and some reasons not to. One of them is I like the idea of degrading our enemies by taking their smart people.
There's something to be said for that.
There's something to be said for that.
Sure.
Our rocket program is from captured Germans.
Right.
It's like,
Operation Paperclip.
Paperclip. So look, on some level, I am totally on board with the idea that, okay, you don't get to have nice things. We get to take your smart people and they get to add to American greatness. I kind of like that concept. But at the same time, like you were saying, Jerome, if these people are so good at doing this, such great minds, such great advancements are capable for these people, taking them from these third world countries that have potential is actually basically forcing a world that's kind of unbalanced. And an unbalanced world means everything's got to be drawn towards us. We're at the bottom of the hill, and all that crap is going to roll down towards us. So yeah. I would much rather than that we're capable of educating the young minds of other nations, sending them back to their home countries where they can make a difference. They can improve those home countries. So then they're not sending their criminals over here or their least skilled workers over to America to find a better life. They're creating better lives in their native lands.
Yeah, illegal immigration across the board now, even most Democrats, we can all agree that nobody wants gang members and drug dealers and people that are getting out of prisons in Haiti or Venezuela coming through the southern border. We can all agree on that. The legal immigration is where we're kind of split right now in the Republican Party, because there are a lot of people like Elon who, let's not forget, was a Democrat not that long ago.
Like 5 minutes.
Yeah, like 5 minutes ago. But I saw a tweet from him saying that, and I've been a huge Elon fan. I've always on my show, I've given him kudos for buying Twitter and releasing
a huge one.
That's huge.
And the Twitter files and all that.
So I just feel like he said something about it's like a sports team where we're just grabbing free agents, the best and the brightest from around the world. But the difference is we're talking about a country here with a shared heritage and traditions. It's a little bit different, in my opinion, than just a sports team taking the best free agents. It goes a lot deeper than that when you're talking about unifying a country and having the same traditions and culture and values. And when you start breaking that up throughout different sects of the world, you could see some pretty, damaging results in the long run, I think.
Now, the numbers,
there's pros and cons.
The numbers do make a difference also. Now, he would later go on to say he's looking at the 0.1% best engineers basically in the world. And he said, he asked Grok, okay, what do those numbers make out to? Well, it's somewhere between 10,000 and 15,000 people.
There we go.
That he's talking.
See,
It's like, you know what? If all you're asking for, Elon, is 10 to 15,000 people to be specially, ushered into the country because they are the best of the best of the best in the entire world.
I support that.
I support that.
Yeah, I support that.
If we're talking about millions of Indian call center people, it's like,
then
no.
what's the difference between legal immigration and illegal? Then all of a sudden it's like, okay, there's really
okay.
not much of a difference.
Yeah, exactly. So now Vivek Ramaswamy actually brought American culture into discussion. I want to take it there in our next segment. Right after this, I think we got a Larry Connors commentary coming up. Is that right?
Yes, it is. Larry Connors commentary. You have a unopened gift still under the tree coming up.
All right, nice. Stay tuned here on News Talk STL 1019 94.1.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Showers continuing through the morning, but they will begin to taper off. We will have some dry hours this afternoon and temperatures rising. A high in the mid-50s can be expected today, but we don't lose that grayness in the air. Temperatures tonight fall to the 40s with some more showers possible this evening, although I do expect these to be widely scattered. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
I want you to know that McGuire Moving and Storage is silver certified, which means McGuire has a quality reputation helping older adults move local or long distance. And something else to know, Josh McGuire, president of McGuire Moving and Storage, is the only certified moving consultant in Missouri. I'll tell you, once you met Josh, you're going to know your move will be easy. And I fully endorse McGuire Moving and Storage. McGuireMoving.com.
Larry Connors commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connors commentary on News Talk STL.
There is a package under the tree many of you did not open. Is it because you knew what was in it? Just hope the Grinch might steal it? You know, not even the Grinch wants this box. Inside, Missouri Congressman Cori Bush, outgoing, in office until January 3rd, when the 119th Congress begins, and former St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell fills her seat. But don't think she's done with Congress. She told Politico, "I'm proud of what I've done as a squad member." In her 4 years in Congress, the only thing that stands out for me is spending tax dollars on personal protection while joining the call to control you and your guns, and of course, joining the anti-Semitic movement. And she insists, "I'm still going to be part of the squad. Do not underestimate our power. If so, you're severely mistaken. We're not going anywhere." And she also blames her ouster not only on Bell and Democrat money, but Republican money. Voters who said, anybody but Cori. Well, that package under the tree that you tried to ignore, you know the one I'm talking about. It is now beginning to become unraveled. We're going to need more tape.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
My sponsor, Wellington Environmental, has helped thousands deal with hazardous materials. Hospitals, offices, schools, even homes. Here's something new. Wellington now offers dustless blasting. This is just like sandblasting, but without all the dust and emissions. Wellington uses everything from ground glass, walnuts, corn, even dry ice pellets. One university had Wellington remove their parking lot striping because dustless blasting is fast and it does not damage the concrete. So as a business or homeowner, I'm sure you could use this process. Industrial tanks, swimming pools, graffiti on buildings. And in fact, Wellington is blasting a Texaco station that will be revised as an historic building. Check the website for details and photos. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Larry Connors here. I'm heading to southern Italy on a tour of the most beautiful coastline in the world, the Amalfi Coast. 11 magical days in luxury with professionals from Conservative Tours. The cost, $54.88. That includes airfare from St. Louis. Call 888-733-9999 9494 or go to conservativetours.com. Let's go to Italy this spring. conservativetours.com.
St. Louis's place to talk.
The American people have further lost faith in our governmental institutions.
People can decide what they want and how they want to live.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
I will not comply.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Today's show is brought to you by fireworks on New Year's Eve. Hey guys, I'm pretty sure they're supposed to go off at midnight, not for 3 days surrounding January 1st.
Now, of course, in St. Louis, that's the game we play is fireworks or gunshots. Have you guys had that yet in your area? Because it is true in my area. Somewhere a couple of days before and a couple of days after January 1st, there's just fireworks, randomly at night.
Haven't had that yet, no. And I live out west, out in Cottleville area, so I know it's a pretty safe. There's not a whole lot of gunshots out that way.
Right.
Typically, different than when I was living in the Central West End.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
That was always a toss up. But no, I haven't heard them yet. 4th of July though, they definitely turn up for that out there. I'm hearing fireworks on like June 28th. They start firing them off, and they'll go till like July 7th. So there's like a 10-day window.
Yeah,
there,
exactly. Yeah,
fireworks around Independence Day. But no, I haven't heard any yet this year.
You, Jerome?
Yeah, so I'm originally from the Chicago area, so I'm used to that year round. I mean, fireworks are illegal, but it's that game pretty much all year round.
Fireworks and gunshots.
Yeah. No, well, that's
pop.
A little metallic, but no, in the area that I'm at, I'm close enough to like the Creve Coeur, St. Charles area that we really don't get that whole lot. There are some knucklehead kids that I guess have some leftovers from 4th of July that they'll blow off occasionally, but I don't hear them, but I'll find like the spent like bottle rocket casing just in the front yard sometimes. So they're blowing them off somewhere near me, and then we're just getting the leftovers, I guess.
It's everywhere. But that's part of American culture. But something about American culture, according to Vivek Ramaswamy, is not right in Denmark. And part of the issue that he's having with we'll say the IQ deficit is between the H1B1 super smart Indian programmers apparently and the American graduates of American universities, is that we have different cultural issues that he wanted to point out. And he did this on Twitter the other night. And he said this, quote, "Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college. It starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers." So, I mean, on some level, he kind of makes his case using some 90s TV shows here. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zach and Slater over Screech in Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Stephen Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. So he's making a case for us Gen X. We actually recognize all of those names. I know you guys have no idea who any of those people are.
They ring a bell,
but the idea is like, okay, there's the cool guy, and then there's the nerd, and of course the nerd is not being venerated in American culture, and particularly in movies and TV and things like that, while the jocks and the prom queens are, and at least in American culture, they're always shown to be some sort of vapid, and self-important, body proud individuals who could give or take academics. Somebody pushed back on that though. I believe it was Jeremy Carl. I'm not exactly sure who Jeremy Carl is, but one of the things he kind of says, and a few others say, is that no, it's not exactly that cut and dry, because a lot of the times the jock, the quarterback, is also the valedictorian. There is a grind culture in America as well. It just presents itself differently.
I think that is though. I think that, if you think about sports, you're engaging a lot of the parts of your mind. You have to be very in sync with your body, your coordination, your discipline. So I think that these shows show the jock to be the dumb, brutish kind of guy because nerds are jealous that they're not as both as intelligent and as good looking, and this is their revenge.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Revenge of the Nerds. I remember that movie. And look, having grown up in the period that Vivek is kind of referencing there, I can tell you, I was compared to Steve Urkel on way too many occasions because I had the gigantic Coke bottle glasses, not exactly, but basically, if you were a smart black kid, a black boy with glasses in the 90s, you were Steven Urkel. That was kind of what it was. But the point being, though, that honestly, there was a stereotype. There was a lot of naysayings. Like my academic achievements weren't exactly get me the girls. You know what I'm saying? Now I actually did kind of play some sports later in life and kind of got my cool cards, but that took effort because it had to fight the natural disposition of the culture to put the smart type of stuff on the back burner. I can tell you on a number of occasions I was, and this is more of a probably a ghetto thing than a massive national cultural thing, but there were many times where I was made fun of for actually carrying my books home.
Wow.
Because it's like what do you think you're doing?
Yeah,
it's like,
reading a nerd.
Yeah, what kind of you got to keep it real, man. It's like, yeah, it's like you're keeping it real dumb. But the thing is, there is something to be said for what Vivek is saying here, but I think he might be overblowing the case. What do you think?
Yeah, Tommy Loren weighed in on this. She said, in response to Vivek's tweet, but agree and disagree here. Nothing wrong with being a jock or a prom queen. We don't need to be a nation full of socially awkward nerds either. It takes all kinds. What we could use more of is, and we just talked about this in the last segment, parenting, work ethic, tenacity, and ambition. We don't just need more engineers or brainiacs. We need people who know how to build and create things with their hands. You look at skyscrapers and skylines like New York City, Chicago, were built by, of course, you had some brilliant engineers that were behind that, but American muscle. Same with the auto industry, same with railroads, same with let's be honest, most of the greatest inventions of the world came right here out of the United States in our very, very short history. When you look at we're not even 250 years old as a nation compared to some of these other countries across the world.
Thousands of years.
And I feel like we've really lost our way there with shooting for the stars and that drive and that ambition. And we've fallen a long way since I feel like John F. Kennedy and Trump has a lot of that same rhetoric. And that's why I think a lot of people like Trump, because he does remind you with some of the things that he says of like a John F. Kennedy. But if you were to take somebody from 1960 and show them America today, of course, we've made great leaps in medicine and technology, but I just feel like the drive and the ambition wasn't what it was. Like the outlook wasn't nearly as optimistic. Now it might be now since people are excited about Trump's second term. I feel like things are coming back a little bit. People are more hopeful for the future. But I feel like if you were to take somebody from 1960, let's say, and place them here, they'd be like, what's been going on the last 60 years? We've kind of lost that drive, that America first muscle, that just kind of high testosterone environment. I think of like Rocky beating the Soviet, I think of Miracle on Ice. I think landing a man on the moon. I think of the Wright brothers taking flight and but we were just a more unified nation back then. And I think it goes back to like the culture too of like we're importing some great, brilliant engineers and people like that, but you need to share the culture and the values and the tradition and that American spirit. I know a lot of legal immigrants will come over and do that, but I think it's, like I said in the last segment, it's you're talking about a sports team, and Elon was talking about how it's a sports team. You can just pick free agents from these different countries. It goes a lot deeper though than just a sports team. I don't like that analogy because I think it does go back to the culture and the values and the traditions. And I'm all for it. If somebody wants to come over and adopt those, then great. But we can't take our side off of that just in the name of filling jobs and our economic policies, things like that.
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, I do also want to say that people who work with their hands, I think are very, very, very important to American greatness. And I think while I think we are slipping in terms of STEM, we are slipping in terms of the number and quality of engineers that we're producing relative to our population. I also think we're consigning to basically a stock checker a lot of the people who could be really, really gifted working with their hands and literally building America.
Yeah, I think people are catching on to the college scam too.
Yeah,
go into a trade versus getting a gender study degree.
Oh my gosh,
I think people are waking up to that.
Or general studies, or
Yeah.
you study business just because it's there, or
Right.
you study philosophy because it's an easy degree.
Mhm.
Like no, dude, you need to learn HVAC.
Yep.
It's like you need to go to. I know we're running a little bit long on getting here, but I have to say this. I'm an engineer, and I've been doing DIYing my basement for a while now, working with my hands. Oh my gosh, so much respect for the guys who actually build stuff.
Absolutely.
I love to always hang out with the guys who actually build the aircraft that I would design. So much respect for those guys. They are so good at what they do, and we need each other. And
100%.
America,
We need to
come
encourage
on.
that.
Absolutely. Get back to it. Okay, so last segment of this hour, I want to take a break. We've got an internet fail I want you guys to react to. So stay tuned for that. I'm asking for a friend about your generation. Are you guys okay?
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
Need reliable auto service from people you can trust? Look no further than Western Tire and Auto. For over 15 years, we've been your complete automotive repair center, family owned and operated, with owner Dean Cleathermes bringing 30 years of industry experience. At Western Tire and Auto, you're not just a customer, you're family. We promise 100% satisfaction, treating you with the transparency, respect, and honesty you deserve. Visit us in St. Peters or in Florissant. For appointments, call or check westerntireauto.com. Western Tire and Auto, your local automotive experts since 2008.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
And speaking of Todd Showalter, he's got a book out, a new book, The Biden Years, an Era of Stupidity. I don't know if you guys know this, but Todd Showalter is a very gifted political cartoonist.
Oh yeah, if you watch the this is how I know you don't watch the Dr. Randy Tolo show live stream. But
I'm sorry, man.
We feature his.
I'm sleeping.
We feature his recent political cartoons, and in exchange, he stops hitting me when he sees me, so it works out.
Now, by you guys, I meant the listeners. But yes, Todd Showalter is an awesome political cartoonist, and he's collected his cartoons during the Biden years, and it is an amazing thing. So you can pick that up in the News Talk STL book club. You go to the newstalkstl.com news and more tab, scroll down to News Talk STL book club, and it's right there at the bottom for now, at least until I get it back into alphabetical order. So it takes a little while for no good reason. By the way, I'm Gabe Phifer sitting in for Mike Ferguson. This is the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, but Mike Ferguson isn't here. He's on vacation. I'm here in the big chair. And along with me, I've got Jerome on the Wheels of Steel in place of Stel. And in my chair is Danny Devine.
How about that?
From the Next Gen Weekend Show. So, okay, guys, I came across this video here. And it's to me a young lady. Because I'm I got gray in my beard, so I can.
You keep beating up on yourself, Gabe.
That's I'm not beating
so
myself
youthful up. And full of life.
Look,
still, you got many years ahead of you.
That gray is earned.
It is, yeah, exactly.
This is wisdom on my face.
Some warrior stripes.
That's
right
a warrior stripe, exactly. Yep. So fear the old man in the young man's game. Okay, so but seriously, I look at all you guys as young faced people, and I see her in this video, and this is the thing that takes me in the opposite direction. Like I talk to you guys, I'm encouraged by the next generation. It's like, you know what, something good can come from these whippersnappers here who I wish would get off my lawn. But then I see videos like this, and I have some problems.
I had a friend come over a few weeks ago, and she was like, Carly, why do you have a bag of lemons in your fridge? And I said, oh, well, I use lemons in my cooking a lot, and sometimes I put them in my sparkling water. And she was just like, no, but why do you have a bag of lemons from the store? And I said, oh, well, sometimes I cook with them and I also put them in. And she said, no, you have a lemon tree outside. And I said, okay. And she said, so why do you buy lemons? And I said, because I cook with them. And she said, Carly, you have a lemon tree. You just pick the lemons off the tree and you put them in your food or in your sparkling water. And I said, don't you have to do something to them? And she said, what do you mean? And I said, you don't have to do anything to the lemons. And she was pretty upset, which I guess I am one of the very few people. I didn't think that I was one of the very few people, but maybe I am one of the very few people that didn't know that there is nothing that you have to do to a lemon before you eat it from a tree. You can just take it off the tree. Am I the only I'm 28 for reference. Am I the only person? Say no.
In her defense, though, the only thing I can think of is that we are so used to, and I'd say we like millennials, we're so used to all our foods being just injected and jacked up with GMOs and artificial hormones and all of this.
So if it's not wrapped in cellophane, it's not real food.
Yeah, like, wait, you can actually pick something off a tree and just eat it naturally. We're not used to that. But yeah, that's pure stupidity, though, right there for the most part.
Do you have anything to say for your generation, Jerome?
Oh my God, please! I'm so close in age to her. I do not claim her. I was the type where I had to be told not to eat the stuff you find in the bushes and on the trees. Okay, yes, if you have a tree that bears fruit and you know it's not poisonous, wash it off. You're good. That's all it takes. It comes in its own wrapping. That's what the yellow thing around the fruit is. Come on, people.
It's kind of amazing. It's like we went from Eve just grabbing a random fruit that you shouldn't to women now not understanding you can eat fruit off a tree. It's kind of like
where does it come
It's a full circle moment there, isn't it? Yeah,
full circle moment. No, you can. You can actually eat fruit off of a fruit.
Same with apples.
And I'm not like I'm not Bear Grylls over here or anything. I'm not like Survivor Man, but my Lord, I mean, I know enough where you can. Yeah, the problem with our generation is, and there are some people that can live off the land, and let's just say if crap really hit the fan and the power grid went out, how long would it be until we're just in full blown chaos?
Oh gosh,
look at COVID. The toilet paper came off the shelves in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if our power went out for a few days, or there was issues with the supply chain? Because a lot of people were just laying on the couch, just scrolling aimlessly on Twitter or on TikTok, and we have the attention span of like a hummingbird. So yeah, the amount of people that are self-sufficient that could actually survive if all the conveniences we're used to were just gone tomorrow, it'd be very, very tiny percentage of the population.
The thing that really makes me mad, though, is that she's got the technology to record herself and post it online. You can't go to Google and say, "Can I eat lemons off a tree?" That takes 5 seconds.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, that would have taken, but a lot of that is for attention too. There's so many people that want the clickbait, the attention, but there are just a lot of people that are just genuinely just not bright people, and it is concerning.
That's one of the things. It's like when I see some of these videos, I'm wondering. It's like, okay, is this clickbait? Are they? Is this person trying to make me mad at their stupidity in order to increase engagement, or are they legitimately this stupid and are posting it on the internet for everybody to see?
Yeah, are they doing this so 3 guys will talk about it on a morning show the next day?
I mean, it's entirely possible.
Yeah,
well, I mean that's how the attention economy works, or is it?
There's a lot of people saying right now that the greatest currency is grabbing attention, because there's so many different outlets vying for your attention at all times, and if you can grab attention and go viral like that girl did. Who knows? Now you have somebody, but that we reward idiots though. It's like the Hawk Tua girl.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And,
until you defraud people with your cryptocurrency, until that, then you might go to prison.
Yeah, but you have so many people on Instagram and TikTok that are just like have the IQ of like double digit. Like
a
lemon,
like the IQ of a lemon.
An IQ of a lemon, and you're like, man, why do I even get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning to actually go do a real job when I could just post something stupid on TikTok, make it go viral? And I don't know, you hate the player or hate the game. It's tough to tell.
I mean, we were talking about depression earlier. So one thing to really get a Gen Xer to feel depression is to say your tax dollars are going to support the education of people who think this way.
Yeah.
It's like,
that'll make you depressed.
Oh my gosh.
I worked at this Fortune 500 company for 40 years. I showed up every day, worked overtime, missed my kid's birthday, and some girl posted a twerking video on TikTok and made $1 million in 1 month.
Yep.
That'll cause depression.
And she doesn't know she can eat fruit off a tree.
Yeah. The same girl that doesn't know that you can eat a lemon off of a tree without having to do anything to it. Yeah, it's idiocracy, man. That was an actual like documentary.
It must have been, because I'm seeing so much, and of course the proliferation of Crocs was predicted by the movie Idiocracy, because they said, I want a futuristic shoe, but it looks dumb, and they found the Crocs, and now we're living in the future, folks. This is Gabe Phifer sitting in for Mike Ferguson, News Talk STL 1019-941. Stay tuned, folks.
SR1 Sundays.
Hey, this is Aaron Dorff from the Missouri Firearms Coalition. Don't miss our new show, Shall Not Be Infringed, this coming and every Sunday as part of SR1 Sundays. Tune in for Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer at 6, Next Gen with Dane Define at 8, and my show, Shall Not Be Infringed, at 9. See you then.
SR1 Sundays.
Sunday night at 6 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
What I like best about my CASA volunteer is that he listens to me and knows me.
My CASA volunteer helped me get visits with my Nana.
Other kids should definitely have a CASA volunteer so that their voices will also be heard.
Thousands of children in foster care do not have court-appointed special advocates. All it takes is a couple hours a week to make an impact. Learn how you can help at mocasa.org. We're serious about volunteering. Are you? Paid for by the Missouri CASA Association.
Watch out, folks. There's a new city that never sleeps. It's called Obesity USA. Population 115 million and getting bigger by the day and night. Because in Obesity USA, there are so many reasons to stay awake. Things like work, constant access to technology and media, job hunting, lack of exercise, bills, anxiety, insomnia, hypertension, diabetes, stress eating, fat shaming, and more work. It's no wonder 1 in 3 people in Obesity USA can't sleep. But who would want to when the fast food restaurants are open all night, too? Welcome to the state of America. Welcome to Obesity USA. To learn more, go to visitobesity.org. That's visitobecity.org. Brought to you by the Pennington Biomedical Research Foundation.
Standing at the edge of
KLDY HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. He's threatening to unleash more powerful weapons on Ukraine. Russian President Putin not ruling out stepped-up use of hypersonic missiles, adding that production of those advanced weapons is being accelerated. Putin recently said that he is willing to engage in talks with President-elect Trump once Mr. Trump takes office. The Russian leader claims he's open to compromises aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. NATO says it's bolstering its military presence in the Baltic Sea, while Estonia has sent a patrol ship to protect undersea power cables. This, as Russia is accused of sabotaging an important cable in the Gulf of Finland.
Estonia has described it as critical marine infrastructure. The Eslig 1 is now the only cable carrying electricity to Estonia from Finland, and Friday saw Estonia send out a Navy patrol to protect it. Now it seems NATO is offering to help. with the alliance's Secretary General Mark Rutte offering its full solidarity and support. Russia has brushed off claims it was responsible for severing the S-Link 2 cable. Last month saw China issue a similar denial when one of its boats allegedly cut 2 telecoms cables off the coast of Sweden.
The BBC's Paul Moss. Members of President-elect Trump's team meeting with 2 top Canadian cabinet ministers in Palm Beach. The talks come on the heels of Mr. Trump's threat to impose stiff tariffs on Canadian imports if Ottawa doesn't step up to the plate on border security and trade issues. They're busy cleaning up the debris left by a series of tornadoes that swept across Wharton County, Texas, southwest of Houston yesterday. While there was property damage, no injuries reported, but the bad weather may not be over yet. Forecasters warn that more is possible today across parts of Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 171 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain? Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free. It's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Hi, Mom. Surprise, I brought you something.
Socks. Oh, heat holders original.
I use them for snow sports and around the farm. I also bought a bunch for my new work site.
I know what everyone is getting for gifts this holiday.
Heat holders socks are the warmest. We use a proprietary 3-stage process, making heat holders the softest, warmest, and most comfortable socks guaranteed. We also have hats, gloves, throws, and so much more. Go to heatholders.com. Use the code HEAT to save 15% off your order. Free shipping for orders over $25. Heatholders.com.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Showers continuing through the morning, but they will begin to taper off. We will have some dry hours this afternoon and temperatures rising. A high in the mid-50s can be expected today, but we don't lose that grayness in the air. Temperatures tonight fall to the 40s with some more showers possible this evening, although I do expect these to be widely scattered. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Jewels on Hampton, paying some of the highest prices for your gold, silver, diamonds, and more. Call 314-752-5000 or visit jewelsonhampton.com.
Hello, Tim Jones here with Eric from Newsteaders, Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, your diamonds are so fantastic at Newsteaders. You named the website after them, wowdiamonds.com. Tell us about Wow Diamonds.
Well, we picked that name because when people look at the diamonds, they all exclaim the same thing. Everybody says, wow. And nobody can spell Newsteaders, so we figured Wow Diamonds would definitely be good tagline, and it's very accurate. We actually introduced the lab-grown diamond to our St. Louis family, and we're the exclusive home of the trademarked Wow Diamond. It's the most perfectly cut and polished diamond you'll ever experience, and we can fit one into anyone's budget. The thing that's nice about them is they're significantly less expensive than a mined diamond, and of course the artwork is in the cutting and polishing. That's where you get the beauty in the diamond, and that's what we excel at.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com for Newsteaders Fine Jewelers.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Phifer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up. Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Gabe Phifer here, sitting in for Mike Ferguson. I've got Jerome sitting in for Stel, and sitting in for me is Danny Define from the Next Gen Show. Let's see, we've got the DNC chair is up for grabs, and a familiar name is added to the list. Another one bites the dust as one of the chief censorship organs of the federal government goes poof, and we all rejoice. And I wasn't aware that a state can write extortion into law, but New York is giving it a go. Let's dump some news on you.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
So former presidential candidate Marianne Williamson announced Thursday she's running to lead the Democratic National Committee. And we all remember Marianne Williamson. She's kind of the weirdo who popped up very briefly during that presidential campaign, and she dropped out even before Iowa because she couldn't make the poll number that limited who can be on the debate stage. But she joins a growing field to replace outgoing chair Jamie Harrison. That includes former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley, who ran for president in 2016, Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party chair Ken Martin, Wisconsin Democratic Party chair Ben Wickler, and New York State Senator James Scoofies. But the interesting part of this announcement to me is Williamson's comments on what the Democrats need to do going forward.
We need different messaging, but we need more than different messaging. We need policies and soulfulness behind the messaging. The Democratic Party, at its best, is an unequivocal advocate for the working people of the United States. That needs to be the messaging, and the messaging needs to be everything that goes with that.
When were the Democrats last an actual advocate for the working man?
Ooh,
right? When was the last time?
1972. It's been a long time
Since they were
really
actually an
time.
advocate for the working man.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if you're a part of big labor, they'll tell you that the Democrats are always the representatives of the working man. But of course, big labor isn't so big anymore. While the AFL-CIOs of the world, they are still large organizations with a lot of money and deep pockets. They don't actually represent a lot of actual workers anymore, do they?
No, and it's one of those things where the Democrat Party, and I know we've said this for years now, it's been blatantly obvious to most people, especially younger people, because with the older generation, it's kind of tough to break out of that mindset because they grew up of the Democrat Party of the 60s, 70s, even the 80s a bit. But it's this kind of Ivy League elitist college professor 1% type that has taken over the Democrat Party, the establishment, everything that they used to speak out against back in the day. So I saw it because I just grew up with this. I was in college in 2015, 2016, not that long ago. So I saw the way of the Democrat Party and the direction they were going in. It was the opposite of everything that I thought the Democratic Party stood for, because it just did a massive flip. And, the Republicans, a lot of the working class, that's why Trump won the Rust Belt in 2016. And he did well in states this year again with like Pennsylvania and some of those blue collar states. But it's done. He's taken a big percentage of that, of the working class, of that blue collar vote. In the Democrat Party, they need to do some soul searching. Like we said at the beginning of the program, Gabe, are they going to do it? I don't know. You have to kind of eat that humble pie a little bit and look in the mirror and see how you can bring those people back to your side. But it's really quite the phenomenon to see how this has all taken place just in the last 20, 30 years.
As somebody who's been kind of watching the Democrats for a while and has studied kind of the history of prior to I actually got me getting into politics these days, I dare say that the Democrats actually haven't changed in their sort of ideological bent. They've always been sort of left-leaning. They've always been a bit elitist. It's just that they're I think the mask has come off. They're being exposed. They're being exposed more, absolutely, because the Democrats of the 1800s wanted an underclass to serve them, right? And what are they talking about when we talk about illegal immigrants? Well, who's going to pick your vegetables? Who's going to clean your toilet? It's the same Democratic Party. They want a permanent underclass somewhere, and they're going to get it. Dang it! but let's not go too deep in that one. Now, the State Department, talking about elitists and the swamp creatures and all that stuff, the State Department's Global Engagement Center, established in 2016, shut its doors this week due to lack of funding. Oh, poor guys. Now, if you recall, these were the a-holes that weaponized social media companies to silence primarily conservative accounts during the COVID mess. So these were the chief censorship officers of the federal government that were exposed by the Twitter files and among other things. Now, conceivably, Congress authorized them to expressly counter foreign propaganda and misinformation, which, I mean, I could see the federal government having a hand in trying to keep foreign actors from getting their agenda done on American soil. But they use that idea to target American citizens by labeling tweets suggesting, for instance, that a lab origin for the virus is Russian disinformation. Russia. So basically, all they have to do is like, well, you're spouting foreign stuff, so that makes you a foreign actor, and therefore I have purview to take away your First Amendment rights here. So this 120-person agency with a budget of $61 million. And you got to put your pinky by your
the Dr. Evil
$1 million. The Dr. Evil pinky. They were set to be renewed recently with the continuing resolution, and thank God, guys like Elon Musk stepped up. The rest of us kind of screamed at the Congress and said, "You are not passing one of those stupid pork-laden monstrosities that you usually get done. Fix it." And they did. Thank God for that. Hopefully, they will continue to do so as they go forward. Now, our last story here: the Climate Change Superfund Act, so-called, is now law in New York, and the climate cultists are cheering, as according to State Senator Liz Krueger, who's the sponsor of that bill, the companies most responsible for the climate crisis will be held accountable. So according to the new law, the biggest emitters of greenhouse gases between 2000 and 2018 will be subject to fines to support infrastructure projects meant to repair or avoid future damage from climate change. Now, all of this is in service to this ideology that says, well, climate change is making storms worse, and the worst storms are causing damage, and therefore the damage is due to the climate, the worst climate criminals, and the climate criminals are the people who fuel the entire world right now. So what they're planning on doing, what it seems like they're planning on doing, is fine companies like ExxonMobil and all these other the energy producers of America, who are going to pass those costs on to us, the rest of America, and they're going to fill their own personal coffers in New York State with that money. Now, I don't think this is really going anywhere. I don't think this is going to pass the judiciary. I think that the oil companies are going to have an easy case to make to all the way up to the Supreme Court if they need to. That this law is way too broad, is way too it is ultimately crazy, and that New York doesn't have the jurisdiction to do this. But it's interesting in that there are several other states that are kind of looking to join them in this. With California, I think New Jersey are also poised to join this climate idiocy, because of course they're going to join all of the climate idiocy. What do you make of this extortion attempt, basically, Danny, and on the rest of America via the oil industry?
Well, the whole climate change thing, we see the hypocrisy all the time, whether it's John Kerry flying around in the private jet, or DiCaprio, or the Obamas. It's one thing that most people can rally around. Everybody wants a clean planet. Everybody wants clean water, clean environment, all of that. And I feel like the people on the left and just the elitist globalists, let's call them, they've taken that climate change scare and they have used that to strip away people's rights and their freedoms. And all the while they are completely hypocritical, like I just mentioned. So I think that's one of the things that they know that will scare, that will put the fear of God in people, is the climate, and the world's going to implode if we don't do something. And it's just a way for them to, because I'm the guy that's always been, I'm like, okay, well, let's see. As a younger, I was never a liberal, but I was like, the climate change thing is something that I can look into and maybe get on board with. But the more I read into it, and the more there's just people that truly care about it, but there's also people that are doing it as a scam, just to profit off of it and to enrich themselves.
Oh, absolutely. The grift is real when it comes to climate science. I'm aware of a great number of climate scientists who disagree with the entirety of the UN model that's being used to sort of shape policy around the world around this idea of reducing greenhouse gases, and that's going to prevent this 0.17 or whatever degree increase in global average temperature, which is going to prevent the flooding of all of the coastal waters everywhere forever and all time, and the melting of the polar ice caps, and the death of many polar bears. All of those things were predicted ages and ages and ages ago. And I mean, I'm old enough to remember when we were actually worried about a new ice age. The 1970s, it was new ice age. It was in the 80s, it was acid rain. In the 90s, it was the hole in the ozone layer. All of these things were supposed to kill us. In maybe the 2010s or so, wasn't it net neutrality that was going to kill everything?
Well, it was global warming for the longest time. Then they flipped it to climate change.
Yes.
So they changed their terms and their slogan, whatever you want to call it.
There's
every,
a reason
20
for
years.
that too, because the increasing temperatures slowed down to the point where it was neutral. Basically, there was basically no global change. They were like, we're not warming anymore. What do we call it? Yeah. And ultimately the issue is there are scientists who are funded by the scare. So of course they're going to, all of their results are going to be furthering the scare so they can continue their funding. I don't know if you guys know this.
It's like COVID.
Scientists are people.
Yeah.
And having an expertise in a certain area doesn't make you more moral than other people. So there are scientists who are literally lying to you in order to get funding for their research.
No.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like something people would do.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's almost as though if you set up a fund in the government to fund research in a particular thing because it's a crisis, you're going to continue to get data to suggest that there's a crisis. I mean, who would have thought that the perverse incentive of a constant stream of government money would change science? But there you go. Yeah, maybe I clued you in on something there. But yeah, one thing's for sure though, the climate is going to be a little colder at the Enterprise Center because the Blues are back. They're going to face off against Nashville. They'll be looking to improve their 16-16-4 record against the 11-17-7 Predators. The puck drops at 7 p.m.
So soon that it is no more, and all at once depart, no destination.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
I was driving back home the other day and I noticed another one of those real estate signs. Hey, there's a house that's for sale down there. You know, that's not how it works anymore. Listen, if you're serious about buying or selling a home, you've got to call my friends Rodney and Jen and call them today. Mike Ferguson here for the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. Listen, it's not a matter of you just drive down the street and all of a sudden, oh, there's a house. I think I'm going to go buy it. Or, you know what? I hope somebody with the right amount of money drives by my street. No, that's not how that works. Listen, call 314-810-SOLD. Even if you're just in the early part of the thinking about it process, 314-810-SOLD. That way, Rodney and Jen can get you prepared. They will empower you with all the information that you need to get the best dollar for dollar deal on your home, whether you're buying or selling. And I say it all the time, if you're selling, you've got to call them today, 314-810-SOLD. Because of all the pre-approved buyers they have, you probably won't even have to list the house. Rodney and Jen are licensed in both Illinois and Missouri, and trust me, they put you first. Find out what they can do for you. 314-810-SOLD.
With the average funeral bill over $9,000, are your loved ones prepared? Speak with Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Contact Benjamin at memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial, everlasting protection.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine in or carry out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
And then the media.
1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Danny Define here with the Next Gen, all new time this Sunday at 8 p.m. Now pour up a hot cup of coffee and tune back into the Mike Ferguson Show.
I know that guy. He said,
that guy sounds familiar, doesn't he?
Yeah, Danny Define.
Sounds like a nice young man.
He's actually in the studio with us right now. and so is Jerome, and I'm Gabe. So the lineup's a little bit different, but this is in fact the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show on News Talk STL, and we are going to revisit this immigration thing because apparently it's still cooking pretty good on Twitter. It's basically a gigantic insider conversation between the various people in the wide coalition that is the right at this moment. One of the things that the Trump presidency has done and his candidacy has done is it has expanded the tent on the right. We've been talking about, those of us who have been on the right for a long time have been talking about expanding the tent for a long time, because that's kind of how you win elections, how you get power, how you're able to actually execute your agenda, is that you actually have to get a whole bunch of people who have a whole bunch of different ideas all together on one page, at least on a few things, so that we can do so. Now, we managed to do that this past election. A lot of us got on the same page in terms of halting the social craziness that the left was pushing. Men and girls sports and bathrooms and whatnot. We got definitely on the same page in terms of illegal immigration and the America First agenda that is being exemplified by the Trump administration, the incoming second term of the Trump administration, and a lot of us are with that. We're all about that. We need to make America great again by revitalizing this nation, by eschewing all of the foreign involvement, showing strength and all these other things. But in the meantime, there are a few differences. There's few. I don't want to call them cracks in the surface of the right, because the right is a coalition. All right, we're all very independently minded individuals. Getting people on the right together is like herding cats, as opposed to people on the left, which is like herding sheep, because they are sheep. So you've got this issue, though, of all of these people on the right who have varying degrees of understanding and varying degrees of opinions on what should be done in terms of legal immigration. We're all on the same page of illegal immigration. No illegal immigration. Send them back. Build the wall. Do all the things. Now, what about the legal immigration? What about issues where if you go back and look at that one time where Disney basically laid off all of their tech staff and brought in H-1B immigrants to take their jobs, and they threatened their severance unless they trained the new people to take over their jobs. And there was testimony in Congress and all that. There was lawsuits for settlements and all that kind of stuff, because that's gross, right? We've already kind of done this dance on some level, but some discussion by a lot of the tech bros on the right, which include the likes of people like Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and other people, is the discussion in that regard is about this idea that there aren't enough engineers, there aren't enough technically capable and work-oriented people being produced by American culture anymore. So in order for America as a whole to compete, we need to remove some of the restrictions on things like the H-1B visa, which seeks to bring in technical capabilities from immigrants from other countries. Now, there's been some pushback here, and I think rightfully so. There's been a lot of arguments on the side of, well, you know what? How about we just have a moratorium on all immigration? That's the opposite view.
Twitter X, I'm scrolling through my feed right now.
Yeah.
And it's just been on fire the last 24 hours. This is definitely the topic of the day, topic of the week, is this legal immigration push from Trump. Hasn't come out directly. I mean, there's been signs, like I said earlier, Gabe, about stapling the green cards onto college diplomas and all that. I haven't seen a statement from Trump in the last 24 hours on this, but it's the people around him, Vivek, Elon, his new advisor to artificial intelligence, Sirium Krishnan. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he was the one that actually was coming out too and saying that we need a bigger push from immigration from these different countries like India, predominantly for tech bros, engineers, that kind of stuff. And they're freaking out right now. A lot of people on the right and the MAGA camp are not too pleased with this revelation.
Well, I can tell you that there are good reason for them to be not particularly pleased with this now. And I wonder if part of it is the fact that being where they are, being the types of guys that they are, that their perspective on this is skewed. Elon and Vivek are the hiring people. They're and actually not the hiring. They are the top. They're the tippy top of their industries, right? Which is, I think Vivek is kind of in the what was it, the biotech, I think, is kind of where he made his mark, and then of Elon, of course, in all kinds of tech. But their desire simply is to have the best talent, and which is right.
They keep using the sports team analogy. That's one that keeps coming up. Yeah,
Yes.
Elon's used that several times.
Yeah, so their idea, and Frank, just straight up from if you are an organizational leader, you want the best talent. That's true.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I think their view of how the best talent is inculcated and how it's acquired may not be fully aware of what the situation is on the ground. And I think that might be part of the disconnect here that's going on, because I doubt that Elon is aware that half of the hiring managers who answered a survey in America are saying that they are actively discouraged from hiring the majority of the engineer population in America, that is white males.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing: if the people 4 or 5 levels below you in your organization feel a sort of DEI pressure to only pick people with darker skin or an accent other than the South, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. To hire for these engineering positions, there's going to be, at least from the perspective of the person at the top, it's like, hey, where are all the talented people? They're going to say, because they're not being pushed the idea that they actually even exist.
Yeah, I think a lot of MAGA supporters, just what I'm seeing on X in the last 24 hours, they feel like they got stabbed in the back a little bit, because a lot of them came out in 2015, 2016 to vote for Donald Trump the first time, because it was more than just tax cuts back then, and I'm going to build a better economy. Yes, that was one of the key things that Trump ran on, but a lot of specifically white men voted for him because what he was talking about preserving the American culture and talking about closing the border and being tough on immigration, illegal immigration,
and
but
getting rid of the DII,
right?
stuff,
The DE&I stuff. Let's be honest. That's why a lot of he won. The white vote came out and voted for him, because he was talking about those kind of things. And now I think a lot of people, just reading the room here on X, they feel like Trump has lost that side of him where, and we don't want to incriminate Trump here, because this is people that he surrounds himself with. He hasn't made a statement that I've seen in the last 24 hours regarding this, but like I mentioned earlier with the green card comment he made over the summer, and just different, pounding the drum on legal immigration versus illegal immigration. A lot of people feel like they've been, I don't want to say outright lied to, but they feel like he's softened his position a little bit when it comes to the more cultural issues.
Yeah, and I think we found, I think you found this for us. This may be the original sound that kind of got everybody up in arms about this. This is Trump's AI advisor, Sriram Krishnan, who you mentioned before. This is the quote, I think, that might have gotten people up in arms here.
This option is for both. It's the elephant in the room is just get married to a U.S. citizen, make that happen, figure it out. And
stay tuned for our upcoming episode on finding romance with people of the U.S.
I say it jokingly, but you'd be surprised how many people have to actively think about that now, because, anyway.
I'll just say, by the way, that's an untapped market opportunity here. By the way, we're talking obviously about, people actually doing this for the right reasons. But I know a lot of single American friends who have been looking for love for a very, very long time and have been unsuccessful, right? And they would love nothing better than a very smart, accomplished Indian boy or girl, right? It could be suitable boy, suitable girl. Right?
All right. So basically,
hard to understand.
Yeah, but basically they're going in on the idea that, okay, you know what? Here, bring all the Indian bros, Indian tech bros to America.
Marry the American
women,
American
girl,
so
and then they're looking for somebody who's going to be able to pull down that Elon money.
Yeah.
So
it all goes back to that original. Remember the Great Replacement theory, and Tucker Carlson talked about this almost 10 years ago, and they called him a white nationalist and a racist and all this. For just pointing out the fact that there is a plan to replace the white American population here.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in the numbers, and the demographics have certainly shifted over the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah. Now here's the what ends up happening because of this, because it's apparent what's happening, because it's apparent that HR managers are scared to hire straight white men. By the way, I have to actually put that caveat because gay white men have that card that they can play, and then now companies are urging for foreign workers to come in and take all of these tech jobs and things like that. Now you've basically set the conditions for people for white nationalist sorts of thinking to be inculcated. Because if you're going to divide the world into this is the in group and this is the out group. If you are in the out group, the only recourse you have then is to consolidate and fight against the other groups who have consolidated against you. So that's part of the problem. They're creating the conditions for white nationalism in this type of idea. So I'm afraid that some of this may get worse before it gets better.
I think so, because there's a lot of emotions are running hot right now all over the internet.
Yeah, I think it's getting
it's a sticky topic.
This conversation is heating up as opposed to cooling off. I wish we could keep it stuck to let's just talk about immigration as a concept and maybe some of the other American cultural factors that can contribute to how everybody's viewing these things. But it looks like it's going to get racial real quick. I think basically a lot of
MAGA is kind of fractured right now.
Yeah,
it's just happening under the MAGA umbrella.
Yeah,
so.
a lot of people are starting to throw some slurs, man, and that's not where you want to go.
As we're in the ninth inning here, 24 days away from Inauguration Day. You talk about great timing.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. But hopefully we can get things back on track, and maybe when Trump does finally, comment on this, he'll kind of bring it back to what the real discussion is, and making America great again doesn't mean we have to start forming camps against one another. So here's hoping. All right, this is Gabe Phifer sitting in for Mike Ferguson. It's News Talk STL 119 94.1.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Showers continuing through the morning, but they will begin to taper off. We will have some dry hours this afternoon and temperatures rising. A high in the mid-50s can be expected today, but we don't lose that grayness in the air. Temperatures tonight fall to the 40s with some more showers possible this evening, although I do expect these to be widely scattered. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Fox News commentary.
Joe Biden, your absentee president, is on another fancy vacation. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Has been checked out for years, but he's really flaunting it in our faces now. Joe and Jill are off on yet another lavish vacation, this time to celebrate pre-New Year in St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Watching him stumble onto yet another taxpayer-funded and undeserved jaunt is not only maddening, but an insult to the office of the president. But it's not just the vacations. It's the lack of any discernible care or concern for the office he holds that adds insult to injury. Thanks to bombshell, but not at all surprising reporting from the Wall Street Journal, we know Joe has been phoning it in for much of the last 4 years. From taking naps on the job to prolonged periods of time without speaking to his cabinet, the man has truly been an absentee leader. But worse, he or whoever is truly calling the shots has done a considerable amount of damage. It makes you wonder, who is really granting these pardons and commutations? Is it Joe or some green-haired activist intern? I'm Tommy Lahren.
True story. I was with Jay Ackerman, and a waitress came up and began praising Ackerman Toyota. She was afraid she might need a new car, so she had gone to Ackerman and was told, you don't really need a new car, just new tires. Obviously, tremendously relieved and thanking Jay over and over. Another example where Ackerman Toyota did what's right for her and will for you. AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota, for life.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every week yet on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the News Talk STL app.
News Talk STL.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the News Talk STL app.
Anywhere. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 941, 991 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL. It's December 27th, and if you're going on your way back to work right now, I hope you feel like we're the guys in the car with you, just just bouncing around ideas, trying to fix what's wrong with the world, and you actually enjoy the conversation. Hi, I'm Gabe Phifer. I'm sitting in for Mike Ferguson. I got Jerome in for Stel and Danny Define sitting in basically for me over there on the other side of the room. And by the way, the Next Gen is a great weekend show, Sundays 8 to 9. Danny, we've been talking about American culture and how Vivek's what do you call it? His critique of American culture does have some elements of truth to it.
Sure.
The sort of built-in critique, I think that overall is being discussed in this whole idea does have some merit to it.
Absolutely.
I was just saying during that information segment, I was talking about this one video I remember seeing. I remember it very distinctly because it was a Twitter employee, and just a white liberal woman. And we've talked about white liberal women on this show recently.
Yeah, we have. A lot of material there.
Yeah. And she was sharing a video about what a day in her life as a Twitter employee was like. And she did this, that first person sort of video sharing as walking into the office and doing all. She's rolling out of bed at like 10:30 a.m. She gets her free latte from the coffee that's provided at the office. She goes and sits out on a terrace and just chills for a few minutes because she has to reset her chakra or whatever. And then she has a quick Zoom meeting with some colleagues for like 20 minutes. And then goes back to playing a game of ping pong or something in the game room, and she didn't actually work. Yeah. The most I saw in this video of her quote unquote working was talking to other people who aren't working at the company that was Twitter at the time. All those people were gone, by the way, because when Elon bought it, we got these are other videos that I loved watching. Was him on a Zoom meeting. So what exactly do you do?
Yep.
Well, it sounds like we're not going to need your services anymore, and he's firing people in those Zoom meetings. And I loved it. But the thing is, it was emblematic of what the problem was, not just with Twitter, but I think with American culture at large, is that a lot of these young people are just allergic to work. They think work means making 6 figures talking with your friends occasionally on Zoom while you get free stuff from the company.
Yeah, that's why this is such a difficult issue to dissect, because while a lot of people in this country, predominantly white Americans, are worried about this replacement theory and bringing people in from these different countries to replace American workers, we're concerned about that, but at the same time, we also have to look ourselves in the mirror a little bit too, because we grew up, and when I say we, just white Americans that are my age and younger, we grew up with this kind of coddled upbringing, and you're entitled to everything.
You're a special snowflake.
You're special snowflake. So can we really be mad that people from outside of our own borders are coming in and taking these high level jobs, because they are more skilled a lot of times. They're more disciplined.
They're certainly more willing to work.
They're more willing to work with a lot less pay, because, like you just said, Gabe, a lot of college kids, they come out of school now with a bogus degree, and they expect to make six figures right out of the gate. And I want to work from home. I want to work 25 hours a week. I want to have 7 weeks a year of PTO. So it's tough, because we need to change our culture here in America. We need to get back to that hard work and that ambition and that drive, if we're really that concerned about companies or the government, in this example, replacing us with foreign-born workers. So a lot of blame falls on us too, but it's also the system that kind of built us that way. So
absolutely, yeah.
There's a lot of layers to this.
Yeah, seriously, and that's part of the thing that I think might be starting to get lost in the conversation, because it's Twitter, right? So you have, unless you got a blue check, you're not writing the gigantic missive. You've got a few characters to get across your point, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a snarky comment about basically another group, and then of course they're going to come back with a snarky comment about your group. It's like, all right, it's like, get your turban ready. We're gonna get, and the other guys are just like, yeah, all right, Jim Bro, why don't you go back to the, it's like, and all of the nuance in the discussion just falls away.
Yeah. And in a nutshell, for people that are just tuning in or that are a little bit lost in the conversation, what the outrage is on Twitter right now is predominantly white men, American men, are they feel like they've been betrayed a little bit by the Trump administration. By the way, he hasn't even been sworn in yet. We still got 24 days.
And he hasn't really weighed in.
He really hasn't
much
weighed in on it, but
this
people around him like Elon and Vivek and that AI advisor that we played a clip of last segment. Yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name, but they've made some comments in the last 24, 48 hours about basically replacing Americans with foreign-born tech bros, engineers, things like that. And again, predominantly white males on Twitter are upset about this, because they voted for Trump the first time, and then again just a couple months ago, because they thought it was going to be more about just the economy, or about boosting the stock market.
America first.
It was about preserving America values and culture, and now they feel like they're Trump's part of this great replacement theory, but he's just putting the title legal immigration versus illegal immigration, and they feel like they've gotten conned a little bit by that.
Yeah, I mean, look, if America first doesn't involve Americans being first, then what actually is it? And I think that's a legitimate critique of this idea that seems to be coming out of a lot of people that surround Donald Trump here. So what should our immigration, I guess, look like in terms of, okay, so we've discussed the problem, I think, ad nauseum. So what would the solution look like? Because in my mind, it seems like okay, we want limited legal immigration channels for the best and the brightest, and the numbers need to be super low, like
super rare exceptions, like an Elon Musk, like a world-renowned engineer, doctor.
Elon mentioned 0.1% of engineers, basically the top 0.1% of engineers worldwide, which would amount to somewhere between 10,000 and 15,000 people.
Yeah, that is completely acceptable, and I think I would support that. I think many people would support it. 10 to 15,000, such a drop in the bucket.
Oh, yeah.
The big concern is there's been so many illegal immigrants that have poured into this country.
Yeah.
That's why there's a huge spotlight now on legal immigration.
We're very sensitive.
we are. Yeah, we are. We've been abused the last 4 years under Biden specifically.
You might be lifting your hand to give me a high five, but I feel like you're going to hit me.
Yeah, if we
I'm abused.
If we had airtight restrictions on illegal immigrants, if we didn't have that crisis at the southern border, I feel like legal immigration would be received with more open-mindedness than it is now. But we've already been so burned by all of the illegal immigration pouring in that people, even if it's considered illegal immigration, people are a little bit hesitant to accept that now too, just because of the flooding of people.
The DEI hiring practices.
Exactly. It's like a perfect storm. It's all coming together.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
So a DEI addled HR manager or hiring manager, they're going to say, okay, I have to fill these top engineering slots. I'm not allowed to hire white men.
Mm-hmm.
So how am I going to do this? It's like, well, the H-1B visa system exists. I can pay a few $1,000s to help with immigration issues to get some guys in from India with some high level capabilities. They're willing to do it for a fraction of the price of a American university graduate from an engineering program. What am I supposed to do as a hiring manager if I'm gonna fulfill all those requirements?
It puts them in a tough position because, like you just spelled out, the decision would be to go with the person that's going to accept less pay but be more skilled.
Yeah, exactly. And fulfill the DEI requirement that seems to be impressed upon me. So there's a few things that need to be dismantled first, I think, before we start looking outside the country. And a few things about the culture that need to be fixed. But how do you do that fast enough so that we don't continue to lose our fastball as America?
Yeah.
Right.
And let's wait to hear what Trump has to say about this, because this is all people surrounding him the last 48 hours. Trump, I have not seen a statement from Trump yet.
I'm really curious
how
under
the bus
how he would weigh in on this particular controversy. But we're rolling into our last segment here for the Mike Ferguson and More show on this wonderful Friday, the December 27th. Hope you all are enjoying the conversation, because I certainly am. This is Gabe Phifer sitting in for Mike on News Talk STL 101.9 and 94.1.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's Friday.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Even we don't know what he's going to do next.
The Second Amendment, by the way, Mayor Jones, is in the Constitution.
Vic Porcelli.
Yes, we do have a love affair with the Constitution. You don't like it? Fight me.
Live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee.
Am I pouring a big cup of coffee or not? Come on. No, but check out Randy Tobler weekends. He's basically this time slot, 6 to 9 on Saturday. So you can continue the fun with him. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say on various issues, especially this immigration one, which seems to be dominating the discussion among the people on the right these last couple days. I think this argument is going to continue. I think until Trump comes out with like a policy position that said we can argue about, we're going to be discussing all this stuff ad nauseum.
You know, it's interesting, Gabe. I just saw this stat here where we keep hearing about the shortage of native-born American workers for the tech industry.
Yeah.
However, the tech industry laid off 150,000 workers this year.
Whoa.
So we keep hearing about the shortage of tech workers, of native-born American tech workers. Yet the tech industry laid off 150,000 people last year.
Yeah.
That doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah,
does
I
it?
mean, it's certainly not something to bring up right now. I mean, it's one thing if there were a shortage of engineers that was like we were feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what, we would love to expand our technological capabilities with AI and this and that and the other thing, but there are just so few engineers that we have here in America. We have 47,000 open jobs, job openings in this various technical fields and things like that, and we just can't fill them. It'd be one thing if that was the case, but like you said, if you just laid off 150,000 highly qualified Americans, now is not the time to talk about H-1B visas. So,
well, Elon and Vivek are in the hot seat right now with a lot of MAGA people.
They're eating it. I'll tell you one thing though that this kind of exemplifies is very interesting. Is that remember during the whole CR fight, and Elon came out against the that gigantic pork laden monstrosity that was the CR that was being pushed initially. A lot of commentators on the left, they were trying to say, well, okay, Elon apparently is the leader of the right. He's the leader of the Republican Party, and he's not elected. Who elected Elon to be the leader of this? What does Elon have to say about trying to primary people? It's like, what? Nobody elected Elon. There was a lot of consternation about the effect that Elon had in that situation. And people making the case or trying to make the case that somehow he is the de facto leader of the right. Well, this fight right now and all the heat he's taking, it says that Elon isn't so much a leader of this faction as a mouthpiece for the faction on the right. When we agree with Elon, his voice gets amplified 1,000-fold because everybody says, yes, exactly what you said. We're going to primary your behind if you vote for that stupid pork-laden monstrosity. I love that term, which is why I keep using it. Right now, he's saying something we don't like, or at least a good portion of us don't like, and he's eating it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to confirm your point with that, people keep saying that we only Musk tells us how to feel, and that's how we feel that way.
Yes.
And it's really the opposite. He just echoes most of the time what we want to say. And I actually put it to a poll on X, and out of like 200 responses, over 75% of people said that they would vote for Musk to have an actual government position if that was the case. But yeah, I think that when we're experiencing so many mass layoffs, and so many economic hardships, we're seeing illegals being prioritized. That's about to change, but given all of this, now you want to bring up the need for more legal immigrants.
Yeah,
it just kind of seems like it's a little tone deaf.
Tone deaf is probably the best way to describe them kind of bringing up this issue. Now, if let's say Vivek was talking exclusively about the problems with our higher education and our culture in creating the vapid work averse high expectation college graduates, like I was talking about before, that the Twitter employee who expects to work 26 hours a week with 7 weeks of PTO at six figures someplace. Yeah, if the conversation was exclusively about we need to change that, we would all be on board. It's like, you know what, you're exactly right. We need to get back to wanting to work hard for what we earn.
MAGA agrees with that statement 100% across the board. We need to get back to hard work, and we need to get rid of this entitlement and the
dumb degrees,
victim culture, and all that.
Yep.
Everybody with MAGA agrees with just that statement. If you just left it there, where you start to get MAGA riled up is when you say all those people that fell into that trap of entitlement and snowflake culture and all that, now they need to be replaced by foreign-born, tech bros and all this stuff.
It's like, wait a minute, whoa. It's like, you had me here,
right?
But you lost me what you're there for.
So the real solution here, I think that would make people happy, is just how do we fix culture here within our own borders and fix the educational systems and fix the mindset and get rid of this victim mentality, this entitlement culture, and just take native-born Americans, which there's plenty of them here, and build them into that next group of engineers or doctors or those high performance jobs.
Absolutely. I think in order to make America great again, I think part of the issue is reestablishing the foundations that got us here. And we talked about this really early, actually, in the show, about recapturing the cultural institutions, about how do we, even though there's been a red shift politically, how do we actually make that red shift stick in terms of culture? How do we shift red the elements that make up the cultural institutions? That's K through 12 education and academia, which kind of work together but are technically separate institutions. Media and entertainment.
I'll tell you what, don't make the sports team analogy, because, man, Elon is getting grilled for that right now.
Oh, boy.
Comparing the U.S. to a sports team. They're like, no, this is not, this is culture. There's so much more that goes into a country than a sports team.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Jerome.
No, he's just giving us time.
Okay,
but no, I think you're exactly right, and maybe that culture discussion and the sports team discussion takes us to Beyonce's performance of the NFL on Netflix.
Oh, wow!
Right? So
yeah, great segue.
Because think about it. For a while there, the NFL was kind of like a unifying place.
Mm-hmm.
You got black, white, brown. All of the various ethnicities. You had age demographics from 5-year-old kids and their giant signs to say, it's like,
as long as they don't dress up as a chief, and then they're
well, that's a whole
then they're going to jail.
Then they're going to jail. Yeah, exactly. Or all the way up to the guy who's been to every single Super Bowl ever. Right. It's like that. So we had all demographics were represented at the NFL, and for the most part, they tried to make sure that the entertainment that was provided there was cross-cultural, was cross-demographics. It's like, it's like, that's not particularly my cup of tea, but it's got a nice beat. You know what I mean? So,
right.
So a lot of the halftime shows for the Super Bowls of the past, they were all kind of universally acceptable on some level. But for some reason, and maybe it's just how people are feeling these days, a lot of people don't feel as though the NFL is for them anymore. And Beyonce's country performance, I guess, like, I didn't see any of it. I actually have no idea. All I saw is a picture of her in the white cowgirl outfit and the big hat. I was like, she's promoting her country album recently. So how did that go?
I think it would have been a lot better if she would have shown up and just been traditional Beyonce. She did the halftime show at the Super Bowl like 10 years ago, but it was Beyonce. You knew what she was getting into.
Yeah.
Now she's trying to be this country artist, and it's almost a mockery of like the Waylon Jennings or like Toby Keith. It was total hip hop.
Yeah, well,
and it upset a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I can see that. Well, Vic Vorselli's coming up next. I wonder if he has to say anything about it.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here. Join me every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL for a little fun with finance. We'll talk about taxes, the economy, finance, and most importantly, how to enjoy the lifestyle you deserve.
Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Tune in on Sunday and visit serenitynowtax.com for your free copy of my book, The New Holistic Retirement. That's Serenity.